Come to Sam Ash for hundreds of exclusive holiday deals on music and sound gear from the most iconic brands. Save big on professional and starter guitars, drums, digital pianos, horns, violins, DJ, and electronic production equipment. Supercharge your home studio with deals on podcasting, streaming, and AV equipment like speakers, microphones, headphones, and acoustic treatment. Plus, with 36 months no-interest financing on thousands of items, you can get the gear of your dreams right now. From our incredible selection and service to our lowest price guarantee for over 95 years, real musicians know you only go to Sam Ash.
Bruce Arians here with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. During these difficult times, it's important that we all show we care about our community's health. You could spread COVID-19 without knowing it. Wear a mask, wash your hands, keep your distance from each other, stay strong, and go Bucs.
Realizing my potential has been what my career has been all about. Things that I've dreamed about have actually come true.
And the Patriots have won Super Bowl 36. Unbelievable.
Things have happened in my life as I kind of hoped they would happen. It's been, just a complete evolution. You know, how I just kept kind of fighting and clawing to continue to power forward. You just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you keep trying to make progress. So when I look at over 20 years, I look how far I've come. But there's not one step that I took where I realized, look how far I've come. But those series of steps that I put together, I go, wow, that's quite a journey.
You're now in the Sports Web, a sports talk show for the hardcore fan. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television here on Wednesday night. It's hump day, hump night, whatever you want to call it. It's Sports Web night. I'm your host, Peter Blake, live here on Bucs Report on the Landry Football Network. Not only live on Facebook, but YouTube and Twitter, and of course the Chris Landry Twitch channel. We'll be taking your phone calls tonight. And of course, on tonight's show, we will have former scout for the Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans, worked with Bill Belichick with the Cleveland Browns, Mr. Chris Landry, again, a part of the Landry Football Network. And then at 10 o'clock, we will have the Stink Bastard. We're going to hold off on the calls for right now. Let's hold off on the call for right now. We're going to intro the show first. And then we will get to your phone calls from Loose Cannons and Bucking Idiots as, again, we'll hold off on the phone calls. Stand by, all right? Like I said, intro the show here on the Sports Web. How do we start it off? Well, we don't start it off with phone calls. I guess we could. We'll be started off like this. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. And, of course, tonight's show is brought to you by MyCannabisCard.com. this night and every night is brought to you by the nation's first and largest cannabis card doctor network and home of guaranteed fast track cannabis card approval with over 2,500 state licensed doctors and 30 plus qualifying conditions. My Cannabis Card is by far the easiest and most cost effective way to secure your cannabis card as stress-free as possible from the comforts of your own home. Again, mycannabiscard.com. Tell them the Sports Web, Peter Blake, and Bucs Report sent you. So without further ado, now you can get on the phone line. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get the man on himself, Mr. Chris Landry. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television tonight. How you doing?
Peter, doing well. How are you?
Well, doing great because we don't have any opt-outs to talk about. We don't have any, any COVID protocols to talk about. All we really have to talk about is football. And with all that being said, I'm going to go out to the phone lines because they're ready to talk to you. Let's go out to them. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. You're on with yours truly, along with the former scout of the Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans, Mr. Chris Landry of the Landry Football Network. What do you have to say?
What's up, Bucs reporter?
Hey, what's going on, buddy? Is this Eric?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on the Bucs game? What's your thoughts on the Bucs game? That was a great comeback.
What now?
Great comeback when you go to the next round.
Oh, you're talking about the Bolts? Well, the Bolts close out the series, so it was a great game today, but I want to keep it on football because we got Chris Landry. You got a question for Chris Landry about the Bucs this year or about any other team?
Yeah.
Okay.
What were your thoughts on did you see the Tom Brady throw the ball to Mike Evans? That was a great catch. The touchdown pass and pads. Did you see that? I heard about it.
Chris, he's saying about the chemistry between Mike Evans and Tom Brady. We've heard about it, a 35-yard bomb. A lot of people kind of glowing about Tom Brady and his arm strength, but you kind of said he still has it. Are you surprised that you're hearing so many glowing endorsements by so many talking heads about Tom Brady and his throws deep?
No, not at all. I'm not concerned about Tom, and I think a lot of people think the deep ball has to do with arm strength, and really you throw with your legs, and the ability to throw it deep is about setting up throwing. And now, to me, arm strength is more tested when you've got to throw across your body or throw just with your arms and upper body, and that kind of distinguishes it. He doesn't have that whippy arm, but he can get the ball deep as good as any, particularly on play action, deep set. I think that he'll have a lot of success. And we've talked about it before, what he would like to do in this offense and what Bruce Arians likes to do, I think can marry together very well, because it'll be a deep to short progressive read, which is the way you normally like to do it anyway. So you'll see a lot of deep options, and if the coverage is not correct, then there'll be a second option and even a dump off option, which, by the way, is going to really get safeties back deep quite a bit and allow the running game to breathe too. So no, I'm not surprised. I don't put a whole lot just into, well, this catch and that, it's not a little bit, this guy's struggling. And listen, I got those updates in the notebook on LandryFootball.com of, even getting some video from teams on their practices and talking to them. Yeah, this guy's struggling. This guy's doing well. I think we can overreact to it, but I think to have a good rapport with his receivers is something that Tom has worked pretty hard this offseason to get done.
Answer your question, Eric?
Yeah. Did you hear about the Bucs offense is number one according to the power ranking? Best offense in football was number one.
Could be. Could definitely be, right, Chris? I mean, you have.
Yeah, we don't know. There's nobody number one now because we haven't played a game, so we'll see. And certainly, to me, it's about points, and it's about being able to. To me, when I grade offenses, is can you dictate to a defense? You can have great passing stats, but if you're trailing in games, it can be a very disjointed stat that'll tell you not a whole lot. but the ability to be able to throw it when you want to, being able to run it when you want to be able to keep defenses spread out to where the way balance is the ability to make the defense cover the entire field. So I expect this offense to be pretty good. It's got a lot of weapons. It's got a quarterback that's for real. So I do expect it to be good, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Score some points, move the football, play with good balance, allow that defense to play less snaps. That's all part of winning in my mind.
Absolutely. Anything else, Eric?
But look at this. Did you guys see about what you call Tom Brady, Scotty Miller, man? And Scotty Miller taking the third row, man, this season.
Are you,
third wide receiver this
Chris? Are you surprised? Okay, hold on, Eric. I know what you're going for there. Scotty Miller has emerged as the third guy. Much was made about Tyler Johnson, but of course, he suffered some type of injury in camp or before camp. So now he's been kind of knocked out. We've heard about Justin Watson, but Scotty Miller, who a lot of Bucs fans had high expectations for, really didn't get a chance to see the field. When he got a chance to see the field, he looked like he was lost in the sauce. But now he's kind of emerged as that third wide receiver. Are you surprised by that?
No, because I don't think there's really anything to it at this point. I mean, remember if you look at particularly this roster, you've got your 1 and you've got your 2. I think as this evolves, one of the things you do with your depth chart, and people kind of look at, well, this guy's running with the 2s or the 1s or the 3s. When you're trying to determine how you're going to shape up your depth chart, the way you do it is you give an appropriate amount of reps to different guys to see how they respond with the 1s, with the 2s, so on and so forth, and against the 1s and the 2s. So I would not put a whole lot of stock in the depth charts now and what they truly mean going forward. It's part of what you do in the practice atmosphere. Now, do I think it could end up that way? Yeah, I do. I think that, time will tell, and we'll see what Tyler can do and whether he's a 3 or 4. What I can tell you is that there's some talent there to be able to go 3 and 4 deep. And, with the tight ends, they've got a lot of weapons, and that's kind of what I was alluding to. They've got some opportunities to get 3 or 4 of those guys, those receivers on the field this year and be productive. How they use them. The other thing is, all right, you may have your third guy because your third guy may be better in the slot or better on the outside. And so when you go to 3 wide receiver sets, this guy may be the best fit. But if you go to 4 wides, this guy may be the best fit because he can maybe play. He may be better at one spot, either outside or inside, but may not be as versatile to do both. So that has a great deal of effect of who's 3 or 4, and I wouldn't get tied up a whole lot into that right now, personally.
With Miller's evaluation, do you believe that kind of Bruce Arians feels like he's a John Brown who can stretch the field with his speed? And when you see him on tape, you saw limited snaps with him. Is that what you see? Do you see a Julian Edelman? Do you see a Danny Amendola? Some comparisons from the Patriots offense, or do you see a John Brown?
No, I don't think he's quite like any of them, but I think he's more like a John Brown type. He's certainly a guy that can get vertical from the outside or from the slot position, and that's why they liked him, and that's why they continue to like him. The issue, or as with any young guy, is being able to set up defenders, being able to learn the route tree well enough to where it's not just the 2 routes that you cover. Because if you can run 2 routes really well and you're really fast, that can be effective, but not ultimately what you need, because again, they can sit on those. You still have to respect the speed. And so speed kills, and it can still manipulate the safety with your speed. But once you're able to learn the nuances of coverages and setting up defenders, then, and stemming your routes, those are the things that can kind of take your game to the next level. And we'll see how quickly he can do that, or it's something that will likely evolve over time with him. I think that one of the things in today's college game is the fact that while very effective, and people think, well, players are more advanced today because of the passing game in college. Well, they're less advanced in terms of route running. They've very rarely, today's game, as opposed to previous years, they know less about running the route tree in depth than they ever have before. So it's a little bit more of an adjustment, and with all the side adjustments. So you are basically, a side adjustment is the quarterback and the receiver has to read the coverage and make the adjustment simultaneously. So if the quarterback reads it right and the receiver doesn't, then that's the pick that everybody blames on the quarterback that was on the receiver, or vice versa.
Good stuff, Eric. Thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate you, all right?
I got one question.
Yeah, one more question. Okay.
Good. How about the do you think there's gonna be a running back competition this year? Because we got Keyshawn Vaughn, we got Shady McCoy. He'll be the second down back.
I think that's a great question. I think Vaughn, they want him to be slotted as a second back, right, Chris? Because of COVID protocols and stuff like that, and possibly missing out on those rep opportunities. It's still a little bit up in the air. But I would envision a Keyshawn Vaughn and, of course, a LaShawn McCoy helping out on third down because he is so good with his hands, right? Rojo's the lead back at this point.
Correct. There's no doubt who the number one back is. The issue with Vaughn being a young guy, and I said this back in March, and I thought, and again, it's the right guy, not the timing of it. But I always said it all along, we've talked about it and analyzed it on LandryFootball.com, that the Bucs were going to sign a veteran back that was really good at running routes, being able to be where you need to be in the passing game on the outlet route, and the dump-off passes. They were going to sign a veteran. Now, they drafted a guy that has the ability to do that in Vaughn. But as you mentioned, the inability to be able to work that through like you ultimately need to do in a normal offseason, which has been anything but, signing the back, was not a surprise. It was completely anticipated. Maybe the only thing was that they didn't do it earlier, and the reason they didn't do it earlier is the guy that they were really kind of looking for wasn't out there, and McCoy, health permitting, can give him a good year, or at least kind of be the bridge guy until Vaughn is ready to go and is able to take that over. And who knows? You often are very surprised by that. So I've done those types of moves, and then the young guy takes over a lot quicker than I thought. So much the better. It's not like, hey, we've got this plan and this is how it's going to play out and it's going to take this many games. You don't know for sure. You just need to be prepared for every option.
All right, Eric. Thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate you. All right.
How about the running back from round 7 we draft? Do you think he'd be next Percy Harvin?
I don't know about Calais. He's going to be the next Percy Harvin, but he definitely has opportunity to be a returner and make some plays out in space. Everything is up in the air right now, my friend. Definitely use that second call and call back later on, okay?
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, appreciate you. There you go. Open phone. I got to get somebody else on here. We can't just have but he's such a good caller.
Good caller. Yes, nice job.
Yep, 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Let's talk quarterbacks here, Chris. Your old buddy Bill Belichick comes out today. He says it might benefit the team about running with 2 or 3 quarterbacks. In fact, a dual quarterback system. Look, I'm always going to say I do what I think is best for the team, what gives us the best chance to win. So whatever that is, I wanted to certainly consider that. If it's run unbalanced line or double unbalanced line or 23 personnel, whatever it is, if it helps us win, then I would consider anything. Mike Giardi of the NFL Network reports that Cam Newton hasn't necessarily made all of his throws. Jared Stidham has thrown multiple interceptions. You have Hoyer, who's familiar with the system. So is there a possibility, because of everything that's been happening in the offseason, Cam Newton isn't catching up to the offense as quickly? Stidham is still young. Hoyer knows the offense, that they could run multiple quarterbacks, or is Bill Belichick just kind of playing with the media?
Well, it's not about playing with the media, but this is real because Cam Newton is you've got to tailor an offense around what he can do. So they're going to have a certain package for him. Now, whether they're able to run 2 depends upon how the guys perform. One performs significantly better, then you're not going to see much of that. The fact that it is an option, quite frankly, that possibility exists in a lot of cases. It definitely exists in New England because everybody assumes Cam Newton's a Pro Bowler. Well, Cam Newton has a definite skill set that they're going to package stuff around him. But if he goes down, you've got to be prepared. And it will look a little different. They will run some different things. So what you have is not a different offense, but you have different pockets of adjustments that, while you run basic things, you'll go a little bit more here when Cam's in, a little bit more here when Jarrett Stidham's in. And, it's a lot of safe passes and the personnel groupings, the bunch sets versus the tight sets are all going to depend upon who's in. And you're going to see a lot more of those tight sets with Cam. What you want to do with Cam is get the ball out of his hands quickly. You want to try to run a lot of tight sets so that you remove as many guys in coverage as possible. And you can isolate where it's a simple, quick read. Cam can throw it effectively, but he's not a great drop back guy, survey, get the ball out on time. But when you've got a guy that can get open in an individual man-on-man situation, Cam can eat you up in the passing game, and he's proven that. So I think in this case, it is definitely a possibility, maybe even a probability, but we need to see how this plays out. One other note, it's going to be a different year. You better have, it is now probable, not possible, probable, that you better have, and your team may only be as good as your backup quarterback. Now, to some degree, that's always the case. This year, more so than normal, because you're not just dealing with an injury possibility, which in some ways may be increased due to the lack of an offseason and soft tissue issues and all that. Maybe we'll get into a little bit later, but it is the COVID issue and catching it. The likelihood of going to your number 2 and even your number 3 is maybe unlike ever before. And let's hope we don't have a rash of it, but it could happen. So that's all the more reason that you need to do different things in practice to get guys going. And a lot of it, too, is to kind of challenge guys. A lot of times when you say these things, who is you think the best fit at this point at this certain position. But you got one guy that's a little bit more talented, one guy that's a little more ready. And that's one way to say, all jobs are open up for grab, which, technically are kind of true, not true in some cases. But very often it's to say, you know what? It is open, because I'm going to tell you, there are jobs that are quote unquote not open that the left guard is a lock here and gets beaten out. Just not do injury, gets beaten out. So nothing is ever in stone. The depth chart's always in pencil.
I'll tell you what's in stone, though, here on Wednesday nights. It's Chris Landry of the Landry Football Network, former scout of the Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans, here on the Evolution Sports Talk Television Pro Football Edition. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. We've been talking about backup quarterbacks this week, Chris, and Blaine Gabbert. Knock on wood, Tom Brady has looked so good in camp. But what happens if he would go down? Do you feel confident that a Blaine Gabbert, who, former first-round pick, but a lot of people are not too high on him, do you feel confident that Gabbert with the weapons could get it done for the Bucs going forward?
Well, you'd have to describe what getting it done is. I think if it's a 3 or 4 game stretch that he's out, and, depending on where that 3 or 4 game stretch is and who they're playing and the health of that team, certainly you might be able to work around it. I mean, we saw the Saints do it last year with Bridgewater. Saints were able to play very well around them. And in fact, they were outstanding. I mean, they had a great record, and it kind of saved the season and allowed them to at least have a chance to play for home field and whatnot. Let's just not kid ourselves. If Tom Brady goes out, then the Bucs' ultimate goals this year are not there. Just like if Drew Brees is gone for the entire year, they're not going to compete. The Steelers without Big Ben, it's not going to happen. But it does not mean that the season's over. If it's 3 or 4 games and you can get through it, and then Brady can come back, that's an issue. But if they end the season with Brady not playing, then they're not going to reach the goals that people have. They're just are going to be built so much around him that I think they can play well for stretches. But, from a long range standpoint, the more those guys play, the more they get exposed, or the more you have to play well around them. And that's doable in some aspects, but there's a limit to what you can do with that. And I think we see that with, there's backup quarterbacks that are closer to a number one, and then there's great separation between the number one and the number two. And that's the situation that the Bucs are in. That there's a great separation between the number one and number two.
Where do you lie on the debate with a great quarterback? Because we were talking about this a couple of days ago with the guys from Bucs Report, and they were saying, look, you don't necessarily need a great quarterback. What you need is a guy that's a game manager with the weapons that the Bucs have or other teams have. So do you truly need a great quarterback in the NFL to get to the promised land, or can you do it with a DLG quarterback, a good running game, and, of course, an outstanding defense? Is that possible these days in this era of football?
Well, first of all, somehow game manager has been labeled as a guy that can't play, and, there's no better compliment than a game manager.
Okay.
It's just, the best quarterbacks. Nobody manages a game better than a Brady, a Breeze, Manning. I mean, you all the great ones. They manage the game better than any. But somehow it's got listed as the game manager is the guy that's smart and heady, but he can't play. That's not correct. Here's what you can do. You can, if you have a really good quarterback or a great one, it doesn't guarantee you that you're going to win. If you don't have a really good quarterback, it guarantees you that you're not going to go as far as you need to. You can go far and win with a really great team around the quarterback. But the quarterback may not be great. May not even be very good. But he better play well or you're in trouble. In other words, Nick Foles is not a great quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Played great in the playoffs for the Eagles. I mean, he played great. And look at him in that game in December when Wentz went down and they played against the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Looked like it was a disaster. Like there was no way in the heck the Eagles were going to get out of first round because they had wrapped up the playoffs. And they got outplayed by the Falcons and still won that wild card game. And they went on and won the Super Bowl. Now, did you say Nick Foles a great quarterback? No. But he sure as heck played great for that stretch. And without him, they don't win the Super Bowl. Now, so the difference is if you're looking at Kansas City last year, Mahomes uplifts that team.
Mm-hmm.
The defense played well situationally, but look at the playoffs last year. Just down and out against Houston. I mean, just for dead. I mean, there's no way Houston can lose that game. They had to lose it. And, but you give an opening for Patrick Mahomes, he takes it, they win. You put a lesser quarterback there, there's no way that comeback takes place. So what it does, it gives you a chance in most any situation. But like with Aaron Rodgers, he gives the Packers a chance. But they haven't done anything in terms of going all the way until the year they had a really good defense and can rush the passer. So the moral of the story is if you've got a great quarterback and you're not good enough around the quarterback, you're not going to win the ultimate game. If you've got a great football team and you got a quarterback that can't play, you can't hide him, and you're not going to win the ultimate game. So no one wants to hear this, but you need to have a good quarterback or a quarterback that plays good or very good, and he better have one heck of a team around him. And that combination is always going to be the case. I mean, were the 49ers good enough to win the Super Bowl last year? They certainly were.
Sure.
They were really good. Is Garoppolo as good as Mahomes? No. But they played well, and Garoppolo, through the course of the season, played well in stretches and not as good in others. Not so much that I'd say he held him back, but I think the team around the Niners was better than maybe, the Kansas City team is around the quarterback. But the quarterback was the ultimate difference. That's not always the case. It was last year, But I think that combination needs to marry together. You know what I mean? It can't be like a seesaw completely upside down. It needs to be balanced out because like water seeks its level.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a quarterback that can't make a play, at some point that quarterback's going to have to make a play.
Speaking of the
49ers,
49ers,
it's going to kill you.
I'm sorry.
No.
Great point. Speaking of the 49ers, are they in big trouble right now because they lose Deebo Samuel until October? Jalen Hurd goes out with an injury. They sign a guy like J.J. Nelson and Tavon Austin. You know, these players weren't looked at as being top wide receivers. So do you feel like the 49ers could be in trouble early in this season with the Jimmy Garoppolo, who, look, he's had his own difficulties. You talked about it. If you have a good quarterback, you feel like, Chris, he's going to be able to complete that pass with 2 minutes left in the game. That's the difference between a good one and a great one. So do you feel like the 49ers are going to have some trouble at the beginning of this season?
Yeah, I do. I mean, you know, Dante Pettis is having a really good practice the last couple of days. We kind of talked about that in our notebook today and yesterday. But, yeah, there's no question. They're like a lot of teams right now that are dealing with injuries, and it's going to have an effect. There's no question about it. More than ever, it's going to be survival. I mean, it really is. I mean, I always tell everybody, the NFL season is kind of regular season is broken into phases. We always break it down in the quarters, but it's about positioning yourself, you know, to Thanksgiving. And then it's about, you go back and look the teams that are the healthiest, play the best from Thanksgiving on. Those are the teams that are the most dangerous. Now, sometimes you got a team that's really kicking in high gear and something bad happens at the end and you lose a player and it derails it. But, you know, you got to be playing well but you got to be in a position, right? It's very difficult to come back from the lower seed and get it done, but it can be done, just not that frequently. So it's going to be interesting to see now that, you know, the race used to be for the top 2 seats. You went in with the idea, win your division, then get a bye. Well, now it's 1 seed. And, you know, if you were good enough to get a top 2 seed, then you wanted to get the 1 seed because you get home field throughout. But now it's all about the 1 seed. So it puts a real greater emphasis on being the best team in your conference. Then after that, it's, you know, it's not as important for the 2 seed as it used to be. So it'll be interesting to see. But this year, all bets are off. I've said that a bunch, and I apologize, but it is not. And we're going to see guys on there that just that it's really going to test coaching to get a lot out of guys that don't have a lot of reps and don't have a lot of experience, and in some cases may not be nearly is capable. Maybe a precipitous drop from who is at the front line to the back. So, you know, I'm going to tell you who luck and good fortune and working through that, you know, the ability to be multiple, the ability to coach through it. It's going to be, you know, the key to this season more than it normally is.
We're with Chris Landry of Landry Football Network here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web Pro Football Edition. And I get it. Some fans are like, well, this is Bucs Report. Yes, we talk Bucs football, but we also talk around the NFL. So don't be scared. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Getting on the phone lines if you have a question for Chris here. What's your bet here on Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky from Chicago? Who do you think wins out in that quarterback competition? And can you kind of take us behind the curtain of really what the quarterback competition is all about?
Well, specifically, you would normally say, well, the incumbent guy not had much of an offseason, so Trubisky. Remember, Nick Foles, the guys that are coaching him, head coach, coordinators, quarterback coach, have been around Nick Foles. So I'd probably give him a little bit of an edge, but honestly, it's, you know, the way you handle it is this. And I go back to the comment about depth chart. So let's say in this quarterback situation, let's take this one specifically, and we can branch this out to any quarterback, race and evaluation. The challenge is this. You've got to see who will separate. People will often say, Well, you got to pick somebody. Yeah. No. Somebody's got to win the team. Somebody's got to earn it. I could pick somebody. And where does okay? We go with you. It doesn't work that way. Okay, you can pick somebody. Somebody has to earn that. Somebody has to prove it. So the challenge is, as much as possible, in all of your work, to give requisite reps to both, and see how they handle it. So you get different ways that you teach. You teach in the classroom setting. Okay, on the board, in the film room, understanding, drilling them, see who knows what's going on best, see who has best recognition skills. So that's what you do. Secondly, you take it out to the practice field. So you may know it, but can you respond to it and put it into action? That's the second thing. And then it's the third thing. So people will say often, well, he's not going to learn until he gets in a game and plays and just throw him out there. No, it's not accurate. Okay, practice makes permanent. It doesn't make perfect. So if you don't go through those first two stages correctly, then all you're doing is just going out there and you're reverting and ingraining bad habits. I use the golf analogy a lot because a lot of people play golf.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the driving range and you're not hitting the ball well and you're trying to figure out your swing, and you don't know what the heck's going on, and you pound away at a big, large bucket of balls, you're not accomplishing anything. You're more likely ingraining bad habits. The key is to find a way to correct what you're doing, hit less balls. And if you've got a good teacher, recommend that. Maybe then work on it. Then you're ingraining good habits. So teaching of football is just that, ingraining good habits. So early on, you give them each of those. I give them tests. I always give them written tests. Now they're all done on iPads. Get a feel for who's picking it up. If somebody is struggling in one aspect, why? Am I not teaching them right? Do they need to be taught differently? Are they not working as hard? Or, what needs to be done? All right. So based upon all those little intricacies, who's picking it up the best? It's all right. Now you earn a little bit more work. What do you do when you bring people into an organization? People, what's the old saying? You start in the mailroom. Maybe you got two people, or two interns. Well, you evaluate them. Who can maybe do their job, maybe do a little extra, maybe willing to learn, somebody that's just looking to maybe kind of put the time in and, maybe does the right things when people are looking, but maybe cutting corners. That shows up, right? Well, that's the same in football with highly paid players, of course, but you can kind of take it and then you give a little bit more reps to the guy that begins to earn it. And because of that, you're more comfortable with this guy than that guy, or that guy than this guy. But very often it's a process of feeling out. It is important to quickly identify as quickly as you can who's the best guy, because then you need to give reps. Because if you're given 50-50 reps, that are more likely 40-40 and 20. Your 50% of the reps is not enough to get ready for the season. So to identify that guy, to give him the 75-80% of the reps to get ready for the season is crucial. But in order to get him to that 80%, you've got to know which one is better capable of handling it. And there's a lot of these things, plus some others that go into that quarterback derby race, however you want to phrase it.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines here. Curtis from Newport Richie, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, Pro Football Edition. You're on with yours truly, along with the great Chris Landry. What's your question?
All right. My question for you guys is, who did you guys have, Tua or Joe or Burrow?
What do you mean, who did I have?
Who did you have as the better prospect?
Oh, I gave him on the draft board, I gave him similar grade, but Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, to me, the main reason was I worry a little bit about Tua's durability. He's not been able to stay healthy in college. I think that there's some things that you can mitigate those concerns in the pro game. I think they protect quarterbacks well. I think he's going to have to. I've always said, and I'm close with Nick, and one of the things that we made for Tua this offseason was a cut-up tape of Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson is the most strategic runner at the quarterback position in the league. He runs and gets hit less than anybody, and it's a part of his vision, and it's also a part of his baseball background where he can slide on a dime and pop up, and he just doesn't get hit. And you don't account for him as a runner, fine. He'll pick up 25 in a key moment, keep a drive alive. You see him do it time to time, but you don't see him get hit. He's got and some of that's instinctual, but I think you can learn some of those things. If Tua does run some, he's going to have to do that. But I worry about his durability, and that's a key factor. I think he's got uncanny accuracy. I think he's got more than enough arm. I think he's an alpha dog leader. I think Burrow is all those things: accurate, good arm, can make all the throws, a little bit more durable. I just think that Burrow is just, even from a leadership, alpha dog leader is the best. Now, Tua's had greater college production because he's been there longer. Burrow was kind of, in the shuffle at Ohio State and came out of the emergence. Well, he just had one good year at LSU. Get all that. Burrow's going to be outstanding. Now, who's going to have a better pro career? I can tell you this. Tell me which one stays the healthiest, and tell me which one's going to have the most stability in the coaching staff. And I guarantee you that's the guy that's going to have the better career. But I did have Burrow stacked ahead of Tua with the same grade.
Okay, yeah, because see, like when I was looking at them, like they're like I was talking to a guy and he was like, well, look what Burrow had around him. And I'm like, well, it's not like Tua didn't have a great team around him. I mean,
they both had great quarterbacks around, and great receivers in terms of weapons. Okay, but you're not. Here's the thing, and here's to your point. Not to cut you off because you got a great point that you were making, but just to jump before I forget this, you don't evaluate the production. You evaluate the process that creates the production. So you don't discredit, nor do you take away from the talent around him. That helps to create the production. That creates, 100 touchdown passes, 62. That is not an evaluation. That's just numbers that are definitely a byproduct of his skills and the talent around him. That's not an evaluation. The process of being able to read, throw the football accurately on time, that's what you're looking at. So when you look at, let's say, Burrow to Justin Herbert, who did not have good receivers with him at Oregon, you should not, and I know this is what fans and media do, they look at the numbers. That's not what's relevant. That's just the result. The process, it takes you to the result. And that's what you have to do, because you're not bringing a whole team into the NFL. So what you're trying to do is the process will tell you better how a guy projects to the next level. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to get that point in.
You made a great point, but no, the only thing I was going to say is Tua had pretty much 3 first-round picks at receiver. And then, Alabama always has stables of running backs and a great offensive line. So, I'm like, there was really no comparison as far as the talent around Joe or Tua. I mean, like, the talent for both teams were great last year.
Yeah, they had 3 first-round receivers on both teams. Offensive line was outstanding, and both quarterbacks were outstanding. Listen, that's one of the arguments is if you're going to make a case, and I always say, I always tell my scouts and, when running drafts, okay, you're not a lawyer. Okay, the way to be a good scout is to be an open book. Okay, let the evaluation take you to the player. Don't be an eyeball scout. Don't be, I like player A. And let me tell you why, because you can take player A and you can make every case that he's better than player B. And I can turn around and make a case that player B is better than A. That is great ballroom talk. You have no use inside a draft room, because what you're looking for is, how does a guy fit? How does a guy fit for us? How does he translate to the next level? And you got to understand how to evaluate the process. And quite frankly, most people don't. Because when I hear people say, I like this guy because, and I'm thinking to myself politely, None of that has anything to do with how a guy translates. So it's great. You may like him, but that's not the evaluation part. It's a complete different situation. So never just lock in to love a guy or not. Here's a trick that I learned too. And I learned this from Coach Tom Landry. When you're evaluating a player, I never in the first tape, and you can't evaluate off of TV, can't evaluate in person. You need to look at the coaching tape. I never took notes after Coach Landry taught me this. Never took notes on the first tape that I watch.
Okay.
You know why that is? Because when you take notes on the first tape, you see things. Oh, man, that's great. Oh, that's great. Subconsciously, the second tape, you're justifying what you saw because you don't want to contradict yourself. I was wrong. Well, I was right. I was wrong. Watch the game. Let it come to you. Everybody gets excited. We live in a highlight world. Look at that throw. Man, I get it. People live their lives. They've got their work. Our work as scouts, it's about being thorough and not making snap judgments. So I look at it, get a feel for how the guy's lining up, what he's doing, this and that, and then it settles in. Then I begin to take notes, and I'll go back and watch that first tape again in the bottom series as I look more tapes. And it proves it because making snap judgments and always scout with these, not these, because I've made that mistake too. You think you see something and you hear a bunch of people saying, I must be wrong. I must be missing something. And you know what? Maybe I am, but I'm going to go with what my eyes see because when I go back and when I call scout the scouts, scout my reports, most of the time is I was led to believe that there was something there that I didn't see. A coach and buddy on the staff that says, this guy, oh man, no, this guy. And I'm not seeing it. And I'm like, okay, they're with them every day. I'm missing this. I just trust my judgment.
I'm so glad you said that because my second question besides Jamarcus Russell, was there any other guy that just completely wowed everybody? But then when you really looked at him, you were like, he's not what you really want.
Mike Mamula, would that be a guy that was guilty of it? Because
well, first of all, let me tell you a Jamarcus story because I've known Jamarcus since he's been in high school. And for people who don't know, I coached at LSU, was a walk-on player there and went to school there and coached there. So live in Baton Rouge and grew up going to LSU games. And Jamarcus was a bust waiting to happen. And I knew Al Davis very well. Bruce Kebrick, who's the area scout for the Raiders, I said, don't do it. You're going to regret it. And look, here's the thing on quarterbacks that you must have. Absolute must. You must have a really high capacity to learn and a really high willingness to learn. Jamarcus was very average to below on both. There was never any chance in my mind that he wasn't going to be a bust. But the difference is I happen to knew him from his high school days in Mobile and just all the way through college. So the arm talent is intoxicating and it'll get you every opportunity. But this guy would never condition himself. He never worked hard. I think you may have heard the story. The coaches knew for a long time that he wasn't studying. He wasn't working. Well, Al Davis wouldn't hear it in his later years. And I love Al, but he didn't buy it. He said, no, it's not true. The final straw was they sent Jamarcus home with a disc to look at a cut-up tape as they got ready for a game. And they come back, give me your thoughts. Came back into the meeting. Al was in the meeting. And Jamarcus said, absolutely loved it. And, well, what did you like about it? This or that. They had given him a blank tape. He had never watched it. He was BSing the whole way through it. And that was the final straw, and that's when they cut him. They said, this guy is a complete phony, and he's not taking it seriously. He got his signing bonus money, and he had arrived in his mind. So that was kind of a unique story there, but you see that a lot. Jeff George. How many times did you see Jeff George drop back in the pocket, in a perfectly set pocket, but because he had no discipline, he would just drift right where this offensive line was pushing the pass rushers. He would drift right where they're going. You know, those are things. I gave Jeff a Wonderlic test, and at Illinois, and I said, you know, he took that thing, and he couldn't give a flip, and he made like a 6 on it because he didn't care. I said, Jeff, do you realize I give this and I report this? I mean, and I just had a nice talk. Well, I'm not going to get in what I said, but basically, if you don't take this, he went and he took it and he made like a 24. He didn't take it seriously, but he took it more serious. The point is he didn't give a flip, and he kind of played that way, and he prepared that way, and he got plenty of opportunities because he had a lot of arm talent. But capacity to learn, willingness to learn. If you don't have high marks on those, see ya, and not bringing you into my team.
All right,
I'm gonna try to get one more in there before Peter kicks me out. Did you scout Vic?
Yes, I did. I like Mike's physical skills. Mike was well, the better of the two character-wise. His younger brother Marcus was a real bad egg. You know, really, really bad. I don't know how many people know this, but when they find the dogfighting, they weren't going on suspicion of dogfighting. They were going on suspicion on something else they thought was going on in that compound, and then they came onto that. But Marcus was.
I actually just watched the 30 for 30 on that.
Oh, did you? Yeah, no, that's just, you know. Anyway, talented guy, could learn, and worked in an improvisational style offense at Tech, did a really good job. Could have had more sustained success. Why didn't he? He didn't work. He kind of went into a path where he wasn't held as accountable, and that happens. That's why if you know that key guy, your leader, is not a hard worker, it's damaging it. And you've heard him talk about it. He's even I thought it was an interesting interview. He had an interview with J.L. Mora, who I think was doing media work at the time, and he actually apologized to him on camera. I don't know if you saw that interview, because he said, you know, I think he asked him, he says, well, all those times when you said you were going home to watch tape, did you? He said, no, Coach, I did not, and I'm sorry. You know, look, these are human beings, and I don't think we tend to look at them as robots. They're incredible athletes.
We look at them as machines.
Yeah, but you know, there's a reason why Kobe, God rest his soul, Michael Jordan, why are they the best? Is Michael Jordan the most, and Kobe, or you know, LeBron, whatever? Are they the most? Is Michael Jordan the most physically gifted basketball player ever? He's one of them. But you know what? There's some guys that were going to be the next Michael Jordan. Why weren't they the next Michael Jordan? No one would rip your heart out of your chest, shove it down your throat, and smile at you, and make practices harder than the games, and hold anybody accountable. No one would do that to the degree that Michael did. So would Michael have been as good if he didn't have much talent and he had that attitude? No. If he didn't have that attitude and he had his physical skills, would he have been as good? No. The fact that he combined them both, that's why he was, you know, probably arguably the greatest ever. It's those things that separate. Now, that's a unique, you know, guy that everybody can figure it out. But most guys fall in that gray area. Does this guy have the ability to get better? Has he peaked? Does he work? Does he want it? How much does he? I've never heard a player say, you know, I always get this, do you really like the game, Peter? I've never heard anybody say, nah, not really. I'd rather be somewhere else, Coach.
Yeah.
No, they all tell you that.
Right.
But so what I do is I test them by asking certain things that they have no idea that I'm fishing for little anecdotes, because there are things I know that'll tell me whether a guy really loves the game or he's just good at it and he wants to get by. And that's the difference between the talented guys and the great players.
Yeah.
All right. There you go, Curtis. I mean, I learned so much from this guy. Every time, every Wednesday, we could have a 2-hour segment.
And
Just
Pete, one
yes.
thing for you though, bold prediction for you. Here you go. You ready for this? I want you
Okay.
to write this down.
Hit me with it.
Tom Brady MVP.
Oh
And
no, I
listen.
agree.
And Devin White, Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh,
Defensive
wow.
Player of the year.
Good. That's good.
Okay. All right, so we'll write that down for you, Curtis.
That's a little Bucs favorite there. If you're gonna pick two Bucs guys, that certainly would be two to throw in the mix there, Peter.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Good call. That was a very, very good caller there.
Curtis,
Very good comment.
Curtis is one of my favorite callers. Thanks a lot.
Really bright guy.
Yeah, making all of us here, the webheads, look good. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you. All right.
Call again. Thanks.
All right. Absolutely. Yes. All right. Let's talk about Darius Geis. Two women allegedly come out and say that Geis raped them at LSU when he was a freshman. My thing is, we already know that Geis had his troubles. I mean, this makes it even worse. But my thought process is like an Aaron Hernandez. I always go back to Hernandez being conditioned from the coaches. Can you blame an Urban Meyer for an Aaron Hernandez? Could you blame the coaching staff at LSU for Geis getting the way he has or being out of control? Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment? Or is it just an individual thing where you blame Geis? Coaching definitely happens to, be a big effect, right?
Well, here's the thing about players particularly young players in college. There is, and having coached at both, there is a difference. There's a big difference in terms of how you treat them. But you do care about them. I think there's this belief that you don't care about your players in the NFL. That's not true. I cared about them a lot, but it's a business. You're going to be a pro. You're getting paid, and you're gone if you're not. Whereas there was a little bit more in me to try to help a player, and I think most of us can relate to players that have ability, maybe come from an upbringing that, I'm not saying they don't know right from wrong, because I think innately people do, but yet some things are not as clear or is not thought of as badly in some upbringings than others. There is a desire, and listen, it's directly correlated to the talent, because this guy's got a lot of talent.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the options, because I get this a lot. People will say, send him home. Yeah, you could do that. Kick him off the team, send him home. You do what you're supposed to do, or you're gone. You lose your scholarship, you're off the team. You can do that. And I think there's certain cases that's what you should do. If you do that, and you go in to recruit that kid, and there's some issues, in my mind, you owe it to him and that parent, guardian, or whatever, to try to help them grow as a person. So if you send that guy home, then what? He has no scholarship, no education, and depending on how bad it is, you may be dealing with somebody that could be a real problem. However, there is a responsibility to the team and to the program I think if you're going to take somebody that has character flaws, you better be prepared, and you better have the support system to say, look, you're not going to play. And this is what you're going to do. I'm going to put you, not in timeout, but you're going to work so darn hard. And you're going to be doing everything. You'll be the most conditioned guy, because you're going to do everything from clean the stadium to you're going to do every nasty job there is. And I will test you, and I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to support you, but you're going to have to earn it. I think when you don't punish them and teach them right from wrong like you would a kid, not everybody's coach, but a lot of people listening have kids. And I'm not saying these young men are kids, but there's a certain element. You need to do things the right way. You need to teach them what's right and what's wrong, what's acceptable, what's not, and you need to hold them accountable. And maybe not send them away, but keep them in, but make them wish that you had sent them away, because to earn your way back and earn your respect of your teammates and your coaching staff, this is what you're going to need to do. I think sometimes what happens is coaches tend to look away. They tend to coddle. They tend to, try to see if they can get the most out of that player.
Mhm.
And he may moves on and yet not maybe as concerned with taking care of the player and developing him. And I think those things can happen. So look, I mean, Darius had, it's ironic because Darius had problems coming out of high school. He had not a great situation growing up. He had problems at LSU. There was a lot of criticism by the Baton Rouge media that, Darius was, because Darius dropped in the draft a little bit.
Mhm.
And he dropped in the draft because there were rumors about such things that have come out. No proof, but the rumors, if there was a strong feeling that he committed what he did, then he would have dropped all the way out of the draft or 7th round.
Correct.
But there was not a lot of substantiated, but there was enough smoke there that people had to decide, all right, at what point is the risk mitigated? And for the Redskins, it was round 2. And, we know new regime and they're not with what they know now, they're moving on from. But those things, Les Miles was the coach, but Ed Orgeron was the coach when he came out. And I'm not saying we know everything, but in the NFL, we have former FBI folks that can find out stuff. So it doesn't always have to be an arrest or something that happened. We will know stuff, or at least find the smoke. Now, it's our job to know, is there real? Because if it can't be proven and it hadn't gone through the criminal justice system, how do we know? But we still need to be aware, and we still need to know. And so at what point did all of the coaches there at LSU know all these current details? Don't know. But they knew there were issues, and I think to some degree things were enabled. Look, Tyrann Mathieu at LSU.
Mhm.
I mean, he failed double-digit drug tests. I mean,
Wow.
he grew up at a home in New Orleans where marijuana was on the coffee table like you might have dinner mitts or a remote control. So you're going to bring a guy in that, well, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to smoke the stuff. Regardless of what you think about whether it should be legal or not, I'm not getting into that. I'm just saying that if that's not going to be something that's acceptable, then you either don't bring him in or you're going to have to, go out. Well, Tyrann has straightened out his life. And I think it did hurt his draft stock, but look what he's done. Great guy, very positive. Randy Moss didn't have the same issue. Randy Moss was about 10 minutes away from being convicted of manslaughter. He was beating somebody over the head with a pipe in high school.
Mm.
It was a file, a rap sheet this long. I mean, you don't go to, I love Coach Bowden. You don't get run out of Florida State. Then a lot of guys that were you don't get run out of Florida State. He said, you got to go, young man. And he was probably as good a player as he's ever had. Notre Dame, Florida State, Marshall, back home. But Randy Moss, while some people might say I didn't like his attitude, Randy Moss straightened out his life. And I told him, I've told Randy to his face, I said, count me as one of them. We had you at the very top of the board, and our blue shield was, character can't take him. Top guy on the board, but weren't a chance in hell we were going to take you. And there's no way I could convince my owner to do it, particularly when we first moved to Tennessee at the time. And I said, you know what? You proved a lot of people wrong. Good for you. But, understand that your reputation's going to go with you. And if you do things in a certain way, it may scare some people off. It doesn't mean that's the end for you. It means recognize what it cost you.
Mm-hmm.
Now what? What are you going to do to overcome it? Or you're going to do things. I told you the Lawrence Phillips story last week. Those things all have to be looked at, have to be studied. And it's the toughest thing. Evaluating football players is not real difficult for me. Evaluating human beings and knowing where they're going to go, personality-wise, I don't know. There are a lot of things, Peter. Some guys single, they get married. They marry, when I say somebody that has a tremendous influence on them. Or they marry somebody that has an awful influence on them. There's a player that I know, I will not tell you his name when I tell you the story, that was a great player that came home from a road trip to find his wife in bed with another man. That guy was so distraught mentally and emotionally, he never became a good player. And we're talking about a guy that was off to a couple of Pro Bowls first couple of years, and he never got over that. We think of these people as robots, emotional, things that would affect you in a normal everyday affect them and affect their performance, affects their preparation, affects their focus. You can marry well, you can marry poorly in terms of how it affects you. Those things are important. I see guys that don't, they find a good wife, it keeps them on the diet. Now I'm going to kick you in the butt if you don't do that. Your body's the temple. Helps other guys, you'll find the pizza boxes stacked outside the house, and then you just don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it. So, there's a litany of stories of how you deal with players, how do you deal with character. But Darius had problems, and not many people in Baton Rouge, believe it or not. Some people knew about it. The media went on it, and they was very critical about why he dropped. He was a good kid and all that, and it was justified. And I think it's not only proven now, but what was his problem before this past week when we find this out? Didn't rehab hard. He's been injured. Poor in rehab, didn't work. Probably the end for him, but those things come back to haunt you.
Well, I tell you right now, if you didn't learn something tonight, then I don't know what I can do for you. That's the great Chris Landry, former scout for the Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans, worked with Bill Belichick, and now a part of the Landry Football Network here on Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock. Ask the Scout. So we'll get your questions next week. Chris, thanks a lot for your time here on the Sports Web.
Thanks for having me, as always. Great job. Thanks for the callers out there. And, join us in the chat room on Twitch. Give Peter a like there as well. We love having you on all the platforms, and we're just so pleased that you're on Twitch TV. Check us out at LandryFootball.com. You think you'll all the roster breakdowns in the NFL are all up. The last ones came out today. So you get all the college ones as well. So check that out. Thank you for having me, buddy.
Absolutely. And like he says, if you like football, that's where you want to be. Thanks a lot for coming on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right.
Thank you for having me.
All right. There you go. Chris Landry right there with some great stories, some evaluations. Once again, taking you behind the curtain. Where can you get this? You can't get it anywhere locally. You can't even get it nationally. That guy right there has scouted NFL prospects. And I know I sound like I'm excited, but if you're a football fan and you didn't love that whole hour, then I don't know what you love at this point. Maybe it's reality shows. Maybe it's the Tiger King or whatever the hell some people watch on Netflix. Maybe you like something else. But here on the Sports Web Pro Football Edition, we talk football. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. I have not forgotten about you, webheads. I will get out to you, but we got a very special guest coming on. I watched this guy with his podcast because their podcast, he has some really good stuff there. He is a part of the Loose Cannons podcast with Samurai Ali and, of course, Christian. Mr. Stank Bastard, we have a great announcement. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Peter. Thanks for inviting me on and allowing me to follow Chris Landry. I don't think I'd be able to fill his shoes. I mean, if you want to talk about Tiger King and Carol Baskin, I'm right here for you. Maybe that's why you brought me on. I don't know. Why am I here?
Well, why you're here is because we've got a great announcement involving Bucs Report Podcast Network. We are going to add you to that network. Of course, go ahead and tell us about what the name of it is. It's Buckin' Idiots.
You said it right. It's the Buckin' Idiots podcast. I've been doing it for about a year on and off. Haven't been as active during the off season. Been doing a whole lot more Loose Cannons episode. By the way, shout out to Loose Cannons. Shout out to Samurai Lee, Poppy Latte, Christian, old school people known as Christian from Headlines Barbershop. Yeah, man, I'm really excited. You guys reached out to me. Big fan of your network. I mean, who's doing more? Who's doing it better? I don't know. I mean, I know when I open up Twitter, it can be 4 a.m. and it seems like you guys have a live stream going on. Where are you finding these people? I love it though. Maybe it's going to be me at 4 a.m. That's pretty much my demographics, by the way.
Right.
I'm going to be honest with everybody that's watching this. My show is weird. Can I curse on here?
You can curse a little bit. We'll allow
right.
you to curse.
Listen, I'm a professional. Okay, my show is weird. We talk Bucs football, but we also talk about an entire litany of other things. Like I just dropped a new podcast today, as a matter of fact, and we're talking about the best football foods. And what football fan doesn't want to talk about food? I mean, we can talk about Tom Brady. We can talk about Vita Vea's calves. We can talk about which player you want to rub down with baby oil. I don't know. Whatever you want to talk about. That's what you can get on the Bucking Idiots podcast, on the Loose Cannons podcast, which is also a part of this network now. So I'm really excited, Peter. What you have questions for me? I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
I got questions for you, and we'll go out to the web heads here. And of course, we're open up the phone line. Phone line yeah, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391, 4 a.m. That's funny because I remember doing a free agent edition of the Sports Web, trying to cook in the kitchen. If you know anything about my cooking prowess or lack thereof, I probably nearly burned down my apartment because I was burning something. But at the time, Antonio Brown, Mr. Big Chest, got traded, came on with the free agency edition, and we were here probably 1-2 o'clock in the morning with the webhead. So they'll definitely be able to call you up here and have some questions. But I always ask every guest that comes on the Sports Web, did you ever think in a million years that Tom Brady was going to be the starting quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Peter, some of your listeners may know, and if you're on Bucs Twitter, you probably know. Not only did I think Tom Brady was not going to be the Bucs quarterback, I kind of made a pretty crazy proclamation on Twitter. I said, and I regret it right now, Peter. I've regretted it ever since. I said that if Tom Brady became the Bucs quarterback, I would abstain from having sex with my wife for an entire year. Wow. I put that out there. I tweeted it out. You could say I regretted that tweet. And it, of course, as soon as he came here, it went semi-viral. So I'm still living with the effects of Tom Brady being here, and I'm okay with it. I'm willing to sacrifice for you. That's how much I love this team. And I have a smoking hot wife, Peter.
I don't doubt you, man. But you know what they always say? We say this on the show. Happy wife, happy life. Is she trying to divorce you now, my friend? I mean, what's going on?
The weird thing is, Peter, she was a Patriots fan. So I mean, she's lost one thing but gained another, I don't know. You'd have to get her on this podcast. It would be a completely different show. My wife is off. She's off the chain. You guys were talking, you and Landry were talking about sometimes you marry a woman and it can change you for the better or for the worse. My wife, she changed me for the better. I was out there, hanging out with Honey Badger, doing things like he was doing on his coffee table growing up. And my wife, she put me on the straight and narrow, Peter. Okay. So, you find a good woman. They may change your life. And listen, the sacrifice to bring Brady here to potentially win a Super Bowl, hopefully it pays off.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully it pays off. I think there is a little bit of disappointment, though, with the fan base because, look, if this is last year and you're talking about Tom Brady, you're able to go out to camp, you're able to go to some games. I mean, how do you feel about it? I get it, COVID and the pandemic, but there is a little bit of disappointment there, right, Stank?
Oh, it sucks. It sucks. We upgraded our tickets this year so we could all sit together. Brothers, me and Sammer and Sammer's wife and Poppy Latte. We were all going to sit together. We upgraded to the expensive seats. We spent a lot of money. And this was before Tom Brady signed here. We just wanted to sit together. We got some seats that were in the shade, and then Tom Brady was signed, and Gronkowski. We were all excited. And now somebody else is going to get to sit in those seats, or nobody's going to get to sit in those seats. And it saddens me. It saddens me in a whole lot of ways, man.
Is this the most pressure-packed year for the Bucs, in your opinion, besides 2002? Because you look at 2002, that Super Bowl year with getting John Gruden, trading those 4 premium picks, but I get it. But this seems like there's an extra pressure there. You have a quarterback that trying to prove himself. Tell you what, let's go out to a webhead here. I know he wants to talk to you. He's a fan of you. Mr. Johnny Dean, the professor, welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with the Stank Bastard on the Pro Football edition of the Sports Web. I love that.
What's up, Johnny?
Because I got one question, man. Peter, he came out with food, and you buried the lead, man.
Hey.
I want to know what Stank Bastard's favorite football meal is.
Well, to me, it's got to be wings, right? I mean, I just assume it's wings. So come on.
It's wings.
You know what, Johnny Dean, for that, here's what you get.
You have not tried regional foods from around the league, dude. And if you're just sticking with wings, come on.
You said favorite. I didn't say I didn't have I have a very broad palate, sir. What are you trying to bring to the table?
Yeah, what are you bringing to the table here, Johnny Dean?
Personally, I like the Baltimore's crab cakes a lot, but St. Louis kills it with their barbecue, man.
Okay, absolutely. I know
crab cakes, barbecue. I mean, you're speaking my language here, bro. You're not bringing anything to the table that I don't love, and I respect you for that, Johnny. Because anybody can bring chicken wings to a tailgate. Not everybody can bring good chicken wings to a tailgate, but yeah, you can bring them to the tailgate. But crab cakes take some skill, unless you're buying them store bought. And barbecue, listen, it's like a religion, and we're in the South. For you to throw out St. Louis like it's definitely the best barbecue, you need to slow your roll there, Johnny. Okay, all right, because I know some people here locally that can throw down on the grill.
Really? Throw some out there.
Listen, follow my boy Samurai Ali, follow my boy Poppy Latte on Twitter, and myself at Stank Bastard. You will see some delicious food, and we have some disagreements. They like to sauce up their food. I'm a dry rub person. So I like my things a little dry, but with some good rub on it. And it's a personal preference. But listen, open your eyes to the local talent here, Johnny.
All right.
Oh, believe me, I know the local talent. Brothers Barbecue in Lakeland, man. That's probably the best I've ever had.
Polk County. They throw it down to Polk County. My wife's from Polk County.
Rick Brown would say, Polk County, stand up.
Stand up, Rick Brown. Stand up, Polk County.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Rick Brown.
Yes.
Cincinnati's chili, man. There's a lot of taste. And last time I knew the officials, I mean, that's years ago, okay? So I've been out of Florida for 10 years now. But it was Black and Grouper was kicking it in Florida, man, in Tampa.
Wow. And it will always kick it here. Even in COVID times, we're still pulling delicious grouper out of the ocean. And I just had some last week. So if you're not here, I feel sorry for you because we've got it right here in Tampa, man.
Yeah, you really do. You got some great choices. Yeah, absolutely. So what else, Johnny Dean? You got a question for Stank? What else?
Yeah, I'm in Pittsburgh, so stay away from the Manny sandwiches. Nobody wants coleslaw on their shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, who does that? I mean, it's like putting vegetables in your eggs, Johnny Dean. That's what that's like.
I agree. It is gross. It's bad.
Right. I mean,
by the way, Peter.
Yes.
Peter, we're still waiting on that.
We're going to be doing that. We'll have an announcement. Stank Bastard, if you don't know, I'm not a guy that likes to eat vegetables in my eggs, so it's become a joke. In fact, there was a woman at the time trying to put vegetables in my eggs, and the end of that relationship, and she was smoking too. So it became a running joke here. I will not eat vegetables in my eggs. I lost a bet with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, who's a part of Bucs Report, Best of the Bay, and now I have to eat vegetables in my eggs. So I may eat some spinach as long as that spinach has some bacon in it. I'm good to go with the cheese, the bacon.
Peter, do you consider onions as vegetables? You don't even like onions?
No, I don't like onions. Look, I don't sleep 6 to 8 hours to get up and eat vegetables. You know when I want to eat vegetables? In a salad. You know when I want to eat vegetables? Maybe with some green beans or some spinach by itself with some steak. But my eggs in the morning, no, sir, I don't. But I'm going to have to do it. So we will have that time and date, jerk, for that eating of the vegetable omelet. All right, Johnny Dean, anything else?
All right, man. Just keep your Hungry Howies to yourself, though.
Hey, I like my Hungry Howies. Leave my Hungry Howies pizza alone. But for that call, here we go. All right, there you go. Fire those cannons. Thanks a lot, Johnny Dean, for the call. Appreciate you, all right?
Thank you, Johnny.
Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web Pro Football Edition. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the Stink Bastard, co-host of the Loose Cannons podcast, and now one of the newest podcasts on the Bucs Report Podcast Network. How many times can I say podcast? That would be Buckin' Idiots. So welcome to the family, my friend. What about Gronkowski? I mean, what do you think of that move? Here's a party guy, but one of the best tight ends in this decade. He's 31 years old. Do you feel like he can contribute to this team and has big things? Bucs fans have big things waiting for them when they see him play on the field.
No doubt. I mean, he's got built-in chemistry already with Tom Brady. He's joined a team that has a lot of pass catching options, so I don't see him catching 60 balls. I mean, Mike Evans only caught 67 balls last year. So adding another receiver like Gronkowski, you got a guy like Scotty Miller who's going to have a bigger role, wide receiver one potentially. Who knows? You can't rule it out. We know what Tom Brady does. We know that he builds little tiny white receivers in the lab and makes them into superstars. So you just don't know. A lot of balls, to spread around. So I think he's going to be a threat in the red zone. I think he's going to be a threat in go-to situations. He's proven that, when he's in shape and he's healthy, that he's impossible to cover. So, yeah, I mean, he's making $10 million. We better use him.
Who's the guy that you think sticks out this year? Is it O.J. Howard? You look at his comments yesterday about how he's learning how to run block and his footwork from Gronkowski. To me, he could be the breakout star. Besides a guy that's a victim of volume, that would be Mr. Ronald Jones. But for me, Howard, because he doesn't necessarily have to be the number one threat on this team as a tight end, could he be a guy that breaks out? Who's your breakout player for this offense in 2020 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I just mentioned it, but let me real quick speak to O.J. Howard. The only thing that O.J. Howard is missing is confidence. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
He's got everything else. I mean, the man was built in a laboratory somewhere. He's a physical freak. He's a specimen. He makes things look easy when they shouldn't, but I don't know that he believes in his skills like he should. And so bringing a guy in like Brady, who's already been in his ear, and OJ said as much, bringing a guy like Gronk, who's, lifting this guy up, if he starts to believe in his game, he could be one of the best tight ends in this league. So I've been hard on him. I call him juicy. And until he shows me that he can be one of the best tight ends in the league, it's going to be hard for me to throw tons of love at him, but I think he's got the potential. I believe Scotty Miller is probably going to be the breakout player of the season, only because of how I think Brady will like to utilize him. I know Bruce came out and said that Godwin is the slot and Scotty's not going to be using the slot very much. I kind of find that hard to believe. I think he can do it all. I think he's got the ability to take the top off. He's been doing it in practice already. Seems like he's going to have a bigger role than he has if he can stay healthy. And I know there's a lot of people out there that say, his hamstrings are made of, pudding. I don't know. We had some hamstring issues on this team last year. Sure. Hopefully we figured that out here in the offseason and they learned how to take care of their hamstrings better. But, it's one of those things. He's got to be able to stay on the field. We've got a lot of options. We got Tyler Johnson, who left the Lightning and came to the Buccaneers. So you never know how he's going to turn out. Like I said, one ball, a lot of options, and we'll just have to see where the chemistry comes from.
Stank, are you a little bit worried about some of those injuries like hamstring because there's going to be only 14 days of padded practice? Are you worried that there could be more injuries than usual?
Yeah, especially as you get into, past the first quarter of the season. These guys, they're not going to have a real training camp. They're not going to have any preseason games. And so the first 4 games are going to kind of be like the preseason. And the guys are going to be going full out for 60 minutes. And we still got one bye week as far as I know. So, I think injuries and then the COVID, list it's going to make things interesting, man. There's just so many variables this season. It'd be easy to just proclaim your team as potentially being dominant, but you just don't know. I mean, you don't know. You don't know if they're going to be healthy because of COVID. You don't know if they're going to be able to be healthy because of the lack of preparation. A lot of question marks, man.
Absolutely. All right, let's go out to the webheads here, read some comments from these guys. The sports web says Johnny Dean. Eric says, hi, Bucs report. What's up, guys? Says Robert. Nathan, how about how fast the ball comes out? You know, that's one of the things that's been kind of talked about with this offensive line, probably being one of the biggest question marks. 47 sacks they give up last year. But, you know, talking to Chris Landry, he believes that Jameis held the ball a little bit too long. That's the reason why you had some of those sacks. Do you feel the same way about this line? It's a lot better than some people give it credit for and will be helped by Brady getting rid of the ball quicker.
Yeah, I mean, Jameis had an elongated delivery. He liked to watch his receivers open. I don't know that he got through his progressions as quickly as you would like. And you're getting the complete opposite with Brady. This guy, you know, he snaps the ball. You know, he makes quick decisions. He knows where his outlet receivers are. He's not always trying to hit a home run every single play. He's already come out and said, I'm going to throw to the open guy. And I don't think you love Jameis's mentality. You love that gunslinger's mentality. It was always looking for the big play, but I think it hindered us in a lot of ways. We're not going to probably see as many crazy big plays as we saw with Jameis, but we're likely not going to see as many errors either. So I think Brady takes what's given to him. He'll probably be a little bit more aggressive under Arians, because Arians, you know, obviously likes to push the ball down the field a little bit, and looks like in practice we've been pushing the ball down the field quite a bit. So yeah, man, we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. And you know, there's already expectations. CBS Sportsline came out with an article the other day where their prediction is Brady could return to MVP form. Are you buying that with all the weapons this team has? I mean, this could be the greatest complementary weapons that Brady has ever had in his career. Do you agree with that?
I agree. And I'm not saying it because I'm a Bucs fan. I mean, if you look at just look at it, man, it's like he's got so many weapons.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully that doesn't, you know, slow his decision making down, because, you know, he gets stuck trying to throw a guy like Evans open. I doubt it, though. I don't think Brady changes his game much. You know, we don't have the foot speed. I don't think we're going to have the separation that maybe some of his previous receiving cores have had, because I think New England like to build their offense a little bit different. We have more of the possession style receiving core outside of Scotty, so maybe that's a little bit different. But you're talking about one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. That's going to help in a lot of ways. In one area specifically, and that's with yak yards. We didn't get barely any yards after the catch. And if we did, it was on the back of like Chris Godwin just carrying guys or you know, shrugging off the first two hits and pulling his way for some additional yards. But you know, some of the issues with Jameis's game was accuracy, him not hitting guys in stride, him being late with the ball, not giving these receivers an opportunity to, you know, run and catch with the ball. So I think we see some differences there. I mean, listen, we were productive last year. We were one of the top offenses in the league with Jameis. Obviously, a lot of mistakes as well. So I don't expect that we're going to fall off production-wise. I still expect us to be one of the top offenses in the league. Hopefully, you know, we're not giving other offenses, you know, a head start in regards to, you know, allowing them short fields and those kinds of things.
How do you feel about Jameis? Because there's been, you know, talk. He's looking good with the Saints. Of course, now he's with the division rival. But how do you feel about him, and why do you think it didn't work out besides the obvious thing, the turnovers?
I mean, I was vocal. If you listen to my podcast, Buccaneers podcast, before Brady came here, I thought the Bucs should bring Jameis back. Didn't work out. Brady was available, and evidently Bridgewater was Arians' second choice, which confuses me a little bit. Why you'd want to start over for a guy like Bridgewater, I don't know, but you got to take Arians at his word. I did not. I thought Arians was playing games. I thought there was a negotiation ploy, a tactic. Clearly, it wasn't. They had Brady in their sights. I think Bruce only has 2 years left on his contract, and I think he wants to go out with a bang. But in regards to Jameis and his future in New Orleans, I hope he fails. Sorry. He's a New Orleans Saint now, and I'm not giving him any love until he's not wearing that gold, that gold and black anymore. If he's got the fleur de lis on his helmet, screw him.
And well, let me ask you this, because Bucs Twitter has been ablaze. You know how it is. It can get a little bit toxic in there. You have a problem with Bucs fans cheering for Jameis Winston, even going to the point of getting a Saints jersey because they like him so much. You have a problem with that?
Oh, yeah. I got a big problem with that. Listen, if you call yourself a Bucs fan and you have a Saints jersey in your closet, you're not really a Bucs fan.
Right.
Sorry, you're not. It better be an old one because your dad liked, Archie Manning or something. That's the only acceptable reason to have that. And really, you should take it outside and burn it or sell it on eBay. You should not have any Saints gear. You should not have any Panthers gear. You should not have any Falcons gear anywhere near you unless your wife is a fan and you hate her secretly because of that. I have no tolerance for it. And I know some amazing Bucs fans. I'm not going to call you out, but you know who you are. You know who you are. You know who you are. You said you were going to buy a Jameis jersey, knowing that he played for the Saints, and I can't tolerate it, man. I wouldn't allow it. I'd spank my child if he said that to me.
My dad sat me down when I was 8 years old. He said, "Look, you're going to watch the Bucs. You're going to watch the Florida State Seminoles, or you're going to leave the house." I mean, I don't really say leave the house, but
that's a good parent. That's a good parent right there. Although the Seminoles thing, I think that's kind of child abuse. Go Gators.
How are the Gators going to do this year?
Oh, I think we're on the upward trajectory. I'll say that. Listen, don't ask me about the Gators football team. I'm a Bucs fan. I did live in Gainesville. I do wear the orange and blue, but I don't follow them that closely enough to really be able to give you, too much information. If I don't think we're gonna have a college football season anyway, so.
Well, I hope we have a college football season, but if you didn't, would you be okay with NFL games being on Saturday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the days. Figure out how to have it every day so that when I come home from work, I have something to look forward to.
I'm telling you. I mean, everybody's like, well, what happens if they put the Bucs on Saturday night? Okay. So then you have them on Saturday or Saturday night, and then you can enjoy your Sunday, by not being so wrapped up with the Bucs on Sunday. You can watch other NFL teams. We're on with Stink Bastard of the Buckin' Idiots, the newest podcast added to the Bucs Report podcast network. Of course, also Loose Cannon, Samurai Ali. Shout out to you and Christian. You guys do a hell of a job. Looking forward to having you both here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Favorite Florida Gator of all time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Is it an Eric Rhett? Is it a Riedel Anthony? Is it a Jaquez Green? A Kevin Carter? Who is it for you? Not a Vernon Hargraves.
Favorite Gator ever that's donned a Buccaneer jersey? Man, that's a tough one. I love Quezzy and Jaquez. I mean, I loved Riedel Anthony and Jaquez because they were kind of there when I was at UF. I want to say Jaquez Green, man. I love Quezzy. Shout out to Quezzy, by the way. Great follow on Twitter. Still follows the Bucs. So I'm going to say Jaquez Green. A lot of Bucs fans would probably pick up somebody else, but I loved Quezzy.
Why didn't Quezzy work out here with the Tampa Bay Bucs, in your opinion?
I think he just got caught in some of those dog years, man, where we we're just still we were trying to get it together. It seems like we've been stuck in that rut for too long now, but I'm sure he'd like to be on this team.
Oh, I definitely think he would love to be on this team. Let's go out to the webheads here, talk to these guys, and then I want to talk to you about Gerald McCoy. It's been a controversial subject on this show lately. Of course, him being out with the injury for the year for the Cowboys. Got to ask you about Ring of Honor, his legacy with the Bucs, so we'll save that. Let's go out to the webheads, talk to these guys here. Brady will help our defense the most. Do you agree with that? Cutting down on those turnovers, right?
Has to. Listen, you want to play with a lead, right? And as a defense, and I'm a defensive guy, I want my defenders to play with a lead. It's astonishing that Shaq Barrett did what he did last year on a team that, was playing close games. Usually the sack leader or teams that sack the quarterback are playing with a lead at a lot. So I think it means we'll probably have more stability and give up less leads and be less volatile on offense, which will help our defense.
All right, good stuff. I agree with you on that for sure. Jimmy says, my phone's dead. Please ask him how he feels about Antoine Winfield Jr. and if he'll be an instant impact in the defensive backfield. That was for Chris Landry. How do you feel about Winfield? I like the pick. I think
I did too.
Hawk, 7 interceptions at Minnesota.
Yep.
But then again, any normal year, he would get the opportunity to get those reps. He's not going to get the opportunity. So do you think he makes an instant impact on this team this year?
I do. I don't think Bowles' defense is an easy one to just jump right into and have production right away. I think we saw that with, the guys we drafted last year. It took them a while. And I think it's probably, even though I think Winfield has a really high football IQ, I think he's an instinctive guy. So I think he'll live off his instincts for a while, but I think it's eventually going to be his job. Just because he's such an instinctive guy. It's been a long time since we've had a quarterback back there at the safety position. And so I'm excited for him. Really after, and I didn't follow Minnesota football. I don't follow college football that closely. I wouldn't say I'm a Trevor Sycamore when it comes to being able to break down college level or college talent. But after the draft, going back and watching some of his game film, YouTube game film,
sure,
YouTube scouting, yeah, man. I mean, it popped up right off the page. You could see this guy has tremendous ball skills. Remind me a little bit of Rondé Barber in that vein in regards to being able to anticipate and being at the right place in the right time. That doesn't come by luck, man. Guys like Ed Reed. Made a living with their head, not necessarily with their athletic ability. And that's what I'm hoping we get on a guy like the Honey Badger. That's what I'm hoping we get from Winfield.
Well, I tell you another guy that's really sticking out who's already had a couple interceptions. That's Mike Edwards, who a lot of people forgot about last year, 2nd-round pick out of Kentucky. But do you see him being in that safety competition and possibly making a run for a starting position on this team?
He said hello to Gronkowski the other day. At least I saw a highlight of him checking Gronk. So I don't think he's ready to give that position up. We got a lot of young competition back there.
Right.
If you look at Whitehead, who looks like a little Mr. Universe, you got Edwards, you got a guy like Winfield, you got Evans, if he ever, finds his way back, Justin Evans. He could take his little tiny short shorts off and put on a football uniform and come play. That would be great. I would love to see Justin Evans here. And then a guy like Dakota Dixon who, got a lot of praise and then, got injured. So, listen, Todd Bowles loves using safeties. He'll use more than 2. He'll use 3, 4. He'll throw them all out there if he can. So, he's a former safety himself. I think he does things unconventionally, and I kind of like that. So you may see these safeties lining up in different positions, playing nickel, rushing, all kinds of different things.
Good stuff. We're on with Stink Bastard of the Buckin' Idiots, newest podcast added to the Bucs Report Podcast Network. Of course, Loose Cannons, Samurai Ali, Christian. Shout out to you guys. We'll get you back on here on the Sports Web. We'll get you on the Sports Web, the evolution of sports talk television. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Excuse me. Let's see. Maybe McCoy can use 2 hands. Wow. Excuse me. And not fumble. Yes, I'm telling you, it's allergies. It's not what you think it is. So with McCoy, going back to the McCoy, do you like that move? Yeah.
What was your question about him? Am I excited about having him here?
Yeah, excited about having Shady McCoy here. As a guy that, veteran presence in that running back room. I mean, he's not the same Shady he was, maybe a couple years ago, but can definitely contribute to this team, right?
Hell yeah. I was pining to, for us to bring in a veteran guy like Freeman or, Shady wasn't even my radar. But Shady fits what we're trying to do here. I think he's going to be more of a receiving threat. I doubt he's going to get, 10 carries a game or something like that. The way Ron Jones is looking, and I I'm really not the biggest Ronald Jones fan. I haven't been in the past, but man, he looks physical. He looks big. He looks confident right now. He looks strong. I'm willing to see another season, in this offense. Hopefully we can give him some holes, man. I don't think he's the kind of running back that's going to create his own holes. I don't think he has the best vision. I think he's a one-cut guy, and if we give him some holes, I think he's gonna be successful.
All right. Yeah, no, I like Jones a lot. I think he's, again, a victim of volume. He can do a lot of things, and you get him out to that second or third level, he becomes dynamic. And I feel like you said, he's put on he's at 220 now. Coming into the league, it was at 205, and didn't know the playbook. And now it's amazing when you get coached up by a Coach Arians in this staff that you do a lot better. And I feel like he's just going to go. He could go over 1,000 yards this year. I mean, how do you feel about this running back situation? You talked about McCoy, but a Keyshawn Vaughn, do you see him challenging a Calais out of the 7th round pick, a Dare? I mean, for me, it's Jones's job to lose, and it seems like he's going to carry the load. But who's the backups there, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, the rookie is going to make the team. You already know that. And what's weird to me is Aaron keeps talking up TJ Logan. And that's somebody that nobody's really talking about. But every chance he gets, he talks him up. So, I don't know how it's going to shake out. Ron Jones is number one. Shady's probably going to be pushed right into that number 2 spot. But outside of that, I don't really know, man. I don't know how many running backs we're gonna keep. I mean, somebody good. I mean, Dare, he had some production last year in the passing game. It's unlikely he's going to make the team. So I mean, we're keeping Keyshawn Vaughn. A guy like Ray Calais is probably going to end up seeing the practice squad. So I don't know. I mean, Logan can, produce on special teams. So I think he gets a little bit of a leg up there over Dare, and he'll probably end up taking that last roster spot because of it.
Yeah, it may be Logan, and it may be Calais that takes that special team spot. That's what you kind of missed out. Are you disappointed in no preseason? Even just 2 preseason games. Are you kind of worried that this offense may start out slow with all the talk of Brady and all these weapons? And even around the league, are you a little bit concerned about some slow starts by offenses?
I don't know why, man. I maybe, call it arrogance, but I doubt Tom Brady in this offense starts slow.
I do too.
I don't know. I could be wrong. We could get out there and we could be on the struggle bus, but I see us hitting the ground. I think he got out there early. I mean, he's in that playbook. He probably knows it better than Jameis did last year. And that's saying something, because Jameis is a cerebral guy and knows it. But, Brady seems obsessed. That's the word I got to use with Tom Brady. Just like Michael Jordan, just like the GOATs in every sport. The guy is obsessed. He's obsessed.
Yeah, he is. He really is obsessed. And I'm telling you right now, I like that background. That's so cool. And your camera shot there, I don't know what camera you're using, but that's phenomenal. All right, so let's go on to this comment here. What's the better philosophy for a team to choose the right quarterback after a first couple games? Pick one quarterback and stick with the one to see how he improves. Number 2, play the streamer quarterback in real life, meaning pick the best one that practices the best during the week, and switch if he underperforms, and switch again if he becomes hot again. This came from Bill Belichick, possibly starting Cam Newton and Jarrett Stidham. Do you buy that? Do you feel like they could do some dual quarterback system? And do you feel like if you have 2 quarterbacks, you really don't have a quarterback?
Yeah, I don't think that's why Urban Meyer's not coaching in the NFL. That 2 quarterback system, I don't think flies here. I mean, you can bring in a guy to be, like Cordell Stewart, or like that guy that they have in New Orleans, to run some gadget stuff, but to run 2 quarterbacks, full time and give like half the snaps one, half the snaps the other, don't see it. And I definitely don't see Bill Belichick doing it.
No, I don't either. I think that's BS. All right, let's go out to Taylor Allen, who is also wife of Joshua Cole Allen, another good wife. It can't be opinion-based. It also is important to look at their adaptability as well, not just on the field, but off the field. We were talking about Darius Guice. We've been talking about players like Antonio Brown.
Mhm.
How do you feel about a Brown? Lots of Bucs fans wanted him in case, knock on wood, one of these receivers goes down. How do you feel about Mr. Big Chest in that locker room? You like it or you don't?
We don't need him.
Okay.
We don't need him. I mean, we've got we're spoiled right now with the amount of talent we got. I think we've got, guys backing up guys that can be productive in this league. So I don't think you need to add a guy like Antonio Brown. You don't need to add that kind of distraction. And real quick, Darius Geis hasn't been found guilty yet. I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but right now these are just accusations. I feel for everybody involved, the women involved, him. But until that guy is found guilty in a court of law, I don't want to go out there and call this guy a bad guy yet. We just don't know.
Yeah, you don't know, but the troubling thing about it here, Stank, is the fact that he has a pattern of behavior, not only with these two women, supposedly when he was a freshman at LSU, but now a couple of incidents with his girlfriend. So it's just not a good look. And then the team, the Washington football team, which has been a complete disaster.
Yep.
Let me ask you about that. Is that the worst black eye that the NFL has ever had besides a Bounty Gate? In your opinion, the Washington football team, with all those sexual harassment allegations, everything going on there, is that the worst black eye for the NFL that they've ever had?
It's not a good look, but Ray Caruth as an active, player who, tried to have his baby mama murdered. So, there's been lots of crazy stuff that's happened in this league. I don't think it's the worst black eye ever, but it's not a good look. And all the crazy things hanging over that organization, including the name of the franchise. It's weird there. That's weird. I kind of like the no name look that they got going on right now. I know it kind of looks like a little bit Bama-ish with the number on the helmet, but
right.
I think it's pretty clean.
No, I definitely think it's pretty clean, and I'm kind of wondering what name they would be if you had the opportunity to name that team. What would you name them?
The Stank Bastards. The Washington Bastards. Because listen, what place on this planet has more bastards than DC? It's full of crooks and just dirty, grimy, stank individuals. It fits the team.
You afraid to offend somebody with that?
No, never. Speaking of which, check out the Bucking Idiots podcast, where we go out of our way to offend people. And if you're the type who gets easily offended, maybe you need it. You need to come in there because I'll peel those layers back. Okay, this world's too crazy. You don't need to get offended by everything. All right, we don't all have to agree ever. We don't. I still like you. I might not agree with you. I like vegetables in my omelet. I said it right on your show, Peter.
On my show. Hey, we don't call this a podcast now. I
know. I said show. I caught myself.
The podcast is definitely different. It's not a radio show. It's not a TV show. It's the evolution of sports talk television. Join the 65,000 following we have on Facebook. We're on with Stank Bastard. Yes, absolutely. Bucs Report, the platform is tremendous. The web heads, the show, and the guests that we have, it's just been absolutely tremendous. So love to have you here as a guest. Let's go back out to the web heads here. Yo, Sports Web says Robert Shoot. True. Dogs. It's a good 30 for 30. I'm a sucker for those. Shooter and Stash. What's up, boys? I know he's
Shooter.
happy.
Shooter's my boy. What's up, Shooter?
Yeah, there you go. And he's happy about the Lightning closing out Columbus. You're a hockey fan, right?
Sure. Yeah, I'm a big hockey fan.
Okay. What did you think of that closeout by the Tampa Bay Lightning? And can they finally do it this year by winning the Stanley Cup?
Yes, they can. Listen, I'm very superstitious. When it comes to sports and the Lightning in particular, it seems like every single time I get emotionally involved in watching them, they lose. So I just, as you can tell, I'm a man of sacrifice. I put it out there earlier. I sacrifice for the teams I love. I'm sacrificing by not watching the Lightning because I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it. I almost tuned in today, and I know they were down, and all of a sudden they came back. I saw the highlights of the overtime goal. Incredible. Had I been watching that, Peter, we'd have lost. It'd been like 7-0. We'd have lost the whole thing.
You haven't watched any games at all. How do you I can't do that. I'm sorry.
No, zero.
Oh,
Zero.
I can't do it. You can't do it, my friend. I mean, the whole wife sex thing, I couldn't do that either. If you have a hot smoking wife and you're not having any sex for a year or more than that, I mean, for a month, I'm sorry. That's a sacrifice, my friend. You may have to go back on something, do something. I don't know, man.
No, because then people will blame me. Okay, and I don't want to get blamed.
Well,
I get blamed enough. I've got I've got teenage daughters. They blame me. Everybody in my life blames me for things. I don't want Bucs Twitter. I don't want Bucs Facebook. I don't want Buccaneer fans in general to blame me if it doesn't go right this year, because I went back on my word and had sexual relations with my wife. And I actually made the same promise for Gronkowski. So it's weird. Things I said and I put my sex life on actually came true. It's like I'm some kind of weird prognosticator with my genitals, man. It's weird.
Yeah,
I know.
You can't do that. That's a lot of cold showers, my friend. I
Trust me, there's lots of them.
Lots of cold showers. All right, let's go back out to the webheads here. How's the show going? Absolutely great. Sorry, Curtis, but if any Buck linebacker gets Defensive Player of the Year, it has to be Levante David. Your thoughts, Levante David?
True.
Underrated, right?
Underrated. Finally will get the love he deserves. And, as we say that, watch something happen and him not, be able to produce like he normally does. Levante David is just criminal. But, that's that's kind of what happens here in Tampa, man. If we have any talent, it never really gets the shine here. We all want it for Levante David. That would be an incredible thing to see Levante get the love he deserves, because I think he's been the best linebacker in this division for a long time. Even though Luke Kuechly got all the love, I think Levante David was equally as good as Luke. In my eyes, again, I'm a little biased, but I think he may have even been a better linebacker.
Well, I think it comes down to also wins and losses, because the Bucs have been winning. You look at a Luke Kuechly, you look at a Barry Wagner, and they're focused on as being is it Barry Wagner or Bobby Wagner?
Bobby.
Barry Wagner. Bobby Wagner. Yeah. You look at those players and you seem to favor them because basically they're winning Super Bowls or getting to Super Bowls and winning playoff games, and unfortunately, the Bucs aren't. All right, let's go back out to the Webheads, the Deck Bar and Grill at Isla del Sol. We have a great announcement coming on.
Uh-oh. Something happened. I think you're froze. Oh, there we go. You're back.
Yeah, we have that it's a little glitch that happens with streaming.
It happens.
Yeah, it does. Let's see. Now we know why Stank has that baby oil thing. Brady proclamation. Here, just got stanky. Christopher Cole says, how many points do we score a game? In your opinion, how many points could you see the Bucs scoring a game? Third offense in the NFL with Jameis Winston. Now you get Tom Brady. How many points the Bucs going to average? Give me that proclamation.
34 points a game.
I think it's certainly possible. I think it's absolutely possible. This could be one of the greatest offenses you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah. I think it might be, man. Again, I don't see us coming out the gate slow. I see other teams not having any idea what they're about to see. You can't look at this offense the way Jameis controlled it and think that it's gonna operate in the same manner. It's not. It's gonna be a completely different offense. We've got another offensive coordinator, another offensive mind now, and he happens to be in the huddle. This guy is going to pick you apart. He's seen it all. He's going to know where the open guy is pre-snap, and he's going to throw to the open guy. It's going to be – I think we're going to be unstoppable. I'm more worried about our young secondary still being able to hold up to the stress. First game of the season, the Saints are coming high flying. It's going to be a shootout, I think. But I think we take the first win, man.
All right. If you got a question for Stank Bastard, don't be afraid to dial.
Don't be afraid, bro. Don't be scared of me.
Yeah, don't be scared. I mean, I'm not scared of him. Nobody.
No.
Bucs Report is scared of him. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with special co-host tonight, special guest, Mr. Stank Bastard of the Buckin' Idiots, which if you missed the good news, the great news here has been added to the Bucs Report Podcast Network. Of course, also, this gentleman would be a part of the Loose Cannons podcast with Samar Ali and Christian. We're going to get those guys.
Samar Ali, you got to be scared of. Me? No, man, I'm nice, man.
Scared
nice.
of Sammer? Why scared of Sammer? Why do you say be scared of Sammer?
Sammer loves Sammer. All right. Outside of that, you better really bring something special to the table if you want some love from Sammer. And if you're in Sammer's circle, it's a beautiful thing. If you're not, good luck, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Sammer,
Okay.
You need to get Sammer on here so you know what I'm talking about.
Okay. I will definitely work on that. We'll work on getting all you loose
Put in a good word for you.
All right. Sounds good. Let's go out to the phone lines here. Mr. Webhead himself, Johnny Dean, the professor. Welcome back to the evolution of sports talk television. What's on your mind?
Well, you said don't be scared to call in, so I'll be your Huckleberry.
Okay, please do.
What's up, Johnny?
What's up? All right, I don't know where to start. I didn't hear the last 4 or 5 seconds of what you guys were talking about there.
Well, what do you want to talk about? Averaging
I can
points.
talk about anything. You want to talk about the depth of the cornerbacks and stuff, or the safeties? We can talk about that. We can talk about.
Well, how many points do you think? How about this?
But I really got to get this out.
Okay.
Levante David, the Bucs win the Super Bowl. Okay.
Yes.
The Glazers need to get their ass up on that stage and do what Denver did for John Elway and say, "This one's for you."
Wow.
Because Levante David has earned that. And I've got a sheet full of stats that'll prove that Levante David has probably been the most consistent and best linebacker in the last 9 years.
You're right. I think you're right about that. I definitely think you're right. Once again, just being a part of the losing times has not helped him, has not helped, his status with the NFL, with the national media. But now getting a Tom Brady and having all these expectations, David is going to have the opportunity to really show his stuff, and I think he's going to come out this year and do some special things. I really do.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And he may not even be the best linebacker on this team anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
Devin White could, after learning from Levante last year. I mean, physically, he's probably better. If you got a guy like Levante teaching you the ins and outs. I expect that tandem, that duo right there is going to be dangerous, man.
Is this the best linebacking crew in the NFL with a Levante David, a Devin White, a Shaq Barrett, and, of course, a JPP?
Yes, if you include in our defensive ends at like linebackers as you would in this defense, I don't think it's even close, man.
Okay. Johnny Dean, what else?
Here's a little surprise for you. Levante David is the second greatest linebacker in Bucs history.
Really?
That's statistically, yes.
Behind Derek Brooks.
Behind Derek Brooks.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Barrett Ruud. Behind Barrett Ruud.
Barrett Ruud. Well, but no, not Mr. I'm going to tackle somebody 10 yards down the field. And
a lot of tackles, but they were all 35 yards down the field.
Oh,
but
yeah.
That's why you can't listen. That's a good lesson. That's why you can't be a stat sheets guy only. Don't just look at the stats because they lie to you. And Barrett Ruud should be the next to that poster. He should be the poster child for that.
What did Raheem Morris say? Stats are for losers, and that's when Barrett Ruud was playing.
I think he was talking about Barrett Ruud.
He may have been. Yes.
Let me throw another stat at you, man. Last year, Levante Davis had the second most pressures of all linebackers.
Really?
In the NFL. Yeah.
Interesting.
Do you guys expect Devin
behind J.J. Watt?
Okay. Well, do you expect Devin White to have more pressure this year, Stank and Johnny? Do you feel like Todd Bowles is going to kind of, let him have a little bit more of the playbook and move him around a little bit more and take advantage of what he did well at LSU, which is get after the quarterback?
Yes.
I'm a Devin White fan, right? Mm-hmm. We've had this discussion for a year now.
We have.
But I have to see more out of Devin White to put him in the Levante David category.
Okay.
I have to see at least 4 years of him.
Okay. How many points a game did the Bucs offense score this year?
Well, I said they can average 30, and I believe that.
Okay. 30 points. Everybody's saying 30. He's saying 34. I think it could be as much or more than that because of all the weapons that they have, and I think the NFL is not going to be ready for it. I don't know how you get ready for it, Stank. I honestly don't. Johnny Dean, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate you.
All right, later.
I mean, I don't know what you defend. You defend Mike Evans. You have fans on here, the webhead saying, well, I think Evans may not necessarily get those 1,000 yards because he may be throwing to Godwin or Gronk. Do you buy that? Because to me, the Bucs could be looking at, once again, 2,000-yard wide receivers.
No, he gets his 1,000 yards. He gets his 1,000. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go back out to the webheads here, read these comments, and then we will talk about Gerald McCoy because, once again, it is a controversial subject here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. What's up, Pete? Is that nickname Stink Bastard? Ha ha. No, that's his
not
name.
A nickname. That's my legal. Listen, it's a family name, but the bastards go back way back. Yeah, and Stank just happens to be, the first thing my mom thought of when she saw my beautiful face.
What's your dad's name?
I don't know if I want to share that because he's kind of famous, but my dad's first name is Filthy. Dad, my dad might be watching right now. So what's up, Dad? What's up, Dad?
All right.
You caught me off guard there.
I think they could average 30 points. 26.5 says Keith Larson. Yes, F that. Yash says, hello, Bucs family. Absolutely. Shooter and Stash. Bucs fans don't touch Saints, Falcons, or Cats gear. That's why I like this guy. Murray says, Steak, you're my boy, Blue.
Murray is my boy. What's up, Murray?
Old school. One of your favorite movies of all time?
Of course.
Will Ferrell, where does it rank? Is it ranked the number one? What about Anchorman, and what about Step Brothers?
Step Brothers is number one for me.
Oh,
as far as Will Ferrell movies go. But oh god, he doesn't miss for me.
He does.
Even that weird movie he just put on Netflix. I still loved it.
What was it about? Was it the?
He's like a Swedish singer. Doesn't matter. He's funny no matter what he does. That's just I love the guy.
Semi-pro, and then what was it? Blades of Glory. It's funny stuff.
Mm-hmm. Always funny.
Yes, I mean I gotta watch those, and in this time of quarantine, those are the type of movies you have to watch. And if you don't speak Will Ferrell, I don't know if we can be friends. Honestly, I don't. Somebody told me, went out on a blind date with somebody, and I said this movie is a classic, and they're like, I'm not seeing it, and I'm saying, you know what? I'm not seeing you because you can't speak Will Ferrell, man.
You can't speak. Listen, comedy has to get you through these hard times.
Yes.
It really does. In this politically correct world, on top of the whole Corona thing, if you're not leaning on comedians and comedy to get you through, you're doing it wrong. You're probably too wound up inside. You need that laugh. You need that funny to get you through. I've watched Nacho Libre 30 times in the last 4 months. I go to sleep to it sometimes because it's so stupid, and it just kind of takes that filth off of me. From just all the political crap and all the COVID stuff and everything that's going on in this world. You need to laugh, man. If you don't, you're gonna blow up.
Yeah, well, it's either that or you watch Marvel or DC movies, and they've been on TNT and TBS. It seems like every day. I mean, you have the Avengers and everything. Favorite Avenger?
Are the Guardians of the Galaxy considered in that world?
I think so. Yeah, definitely.
Favorite Avenger? I actually love Doctor Strange. He's an Avenger, right?
Yeah, I would think he was.
I know that's not on everybody's list. I love the Doctor Strange movie. He's got the sickest ability. I'm gonna go say Doctor Strange because I want to be different.
Okay, good stuff. I like it. All right, let's go back out to the webheads here. Read some of these comments. Not Ahmed Black Stank. Laugh out loud. Go Gators, says Yaj, another Gator fan here. I'm sorry for you guys. I
like him all black.
Okay.
Another Gator. Yeah.
All right. He's actually a pretty cool dude, and I'm a Kings fan. David says Gators suck, but my favorite ex-Gator who became a Buccaneer was Brad Culpepper or Ernest Graham. No Eric Rhett for anybody? No Eric Rhett? I mean, man.
I like Rhett. I had a Rhett jersey. It disappeared from my closet, but I had one for a lot of years. A running back who got stronger as the game went on. Yep. I think had he played – on a different team. If he got drafted to Chicago, he may be up there as one of the better backs that ever played in this league.
Yeah, and I still feel like Mike Alstott, if he were with a team like the Bears or the Pittsburgh Steelers, we'd be talking about him in the same conversation as possible.
Peter, greatest Bucs running back of all time, Mike Alstott, or James Wilder.
I didn't see James. I know the numbers are there. So for me, it's Mike Alstott, and I appreciated work done, even in his defense here. And I feel like it's a shame, even though Pittman did a great job of having the 124 yards during that Super Bowl, it would have been that much sweeter for a kid like Dunn, who does so many great things off the field with houses for single moms. I love Dunn. I really do. So
yeah, had he finished his career here, he'd go down as the greatest Bucs running back in my opinion. And then you got to go way back and look at Ricky Bell, but we haven't had the greatest history when it comes to running back. We haven't had that one guy that stands head and shoulders above, other than Allstott, unless you're Tom Bassinger and you're a moron.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't understand Tom. I get you're all about the numbers and analytics and everything like that. But Mike Allstott, it's more than numbers. It's a momentum. When you gave the ball to Mike Allstott, he was going to close out the game. When you gave the ball to Allstott, you knew that something big was going to happen, that something special was going to happen. And it can't all be defined in numbers. It just can't. And anybody that says Mike Allstott didn't mean the world to this Bucs team, I don't know what you're watching. You weren't watching the games then. You're just looking at numbers. And shame on you for putting something along the lines out there.
Shame on you, Tom. Seriously. I know you're watching. I know you secretly creep and follow me and watch and look at everything I say, even though you blocked me, even on some of my burner accounts. It's okay.
Well, who blocks somebody on Twitter for an opinion?
Somebody who's thin-skinned that can't laugh. And he blocked. You know why he blocked me? He blocked me because I told him he needed to be better. He needed to be more like Greg Allman, and he didn't like that.
Well, we've had Allman on the show before. He does a hell of a job. So
there's not too many better than Greg.
No, there's not. And I know you've had him on the Loose Cannon show. So
we have, yeah.
That was a good show. Ray
and Greg's son is even better. I tell that to Greg's face too. Watch out, Riley Allman.
Yeah,
that guy's gonna be a beast.
Okay, all right. We'll have to watch for him. Rays 4-2 over the Yankees. Once again, Tampa Bay sports ruling the day. What the hell happens if Peter Blake loses his voice?
How do you not lose your voice, Peter? What's your besides not eating vegetables in your omelet? What do you do to take care of your pipes? People want to know.
I don't even drink tea or honey like a lot of people do. I work in sales all day long on the phone for 8 hours, and then I come home. I maybe take a nap. I get up. I do my research. I'm here 5 days a week for Bucs Report on the Landry Football Network. So, yes, I got to take
only 5. I thought it was 7 for sure.
It seems like it is, and it's going to be 6 eventually because we're going to be doing the pre-half and post-game editions of the Sports Web. Which, by the way, that will be before Bucs games. So you're more than welcome to bring all your guys out there, Sammer and Christian, or if you just want to come out there, we'll have a place for you guys to get on the mic and say what you want to say, and we'll have fans out there. So
we'd love to. We had big plans. We were going to have these crazy tailgate parties, baby oil booths. We were going to spray people pewter. We were going to spray people pewter for the pewter game. We're gonna have a spray booth where we would spray you pewter. All those plans are out the window. So we're gonna have to do it at home.
Well, you could come out to the place that we're gonna announce here eventually. That's going to be a part of Bucs Report. So we'll definitely get you that information, and we invite you out there. What the hell happens? I don't know. I'm going to continue to put my voice out there, and hopefully I don't lose it. He will use a recording. Peter always goes on one way or another. Actually, maybe you could do his voice. I think there's a lot of people who could do my voice. I don't know. You could do any impressions, or anybody does an impression of me. That would be awesome. And Shooter and Stash, you know how I feel about having a cartoon. I just want to see what that would look like. Bucs Report, the Sports Web. You can put the Bucket Idiots in there if you want. You can put the.
I've done a voice for him before. Shooter's one of us, or he's a weirdo like me. So shout out to you, Shooter.
Well, then I'm the biggest weirdo because I love everybody's work here.
Listen, I came up with an idea earlier. I was going to convert the style of my show. I want to do a puppet show.
Okay.
My podcast with only puppets. People seem to love the idea. Shooter already kind of does that. He just creates and animates his own puppet. So you might see that on the Bucking Idiots podcast. Make sure you check it out. We got a YouTube channel too, Bucking Idiots. Follow us everywhere. And you'll see it. You'll see it now on Bucs Report.
All right. I want to read the rest of these comments, and I'm going to ask you about Gerald McCoy. I'm going to get you out of here. Thanks for your time. Love to think, man. Finally, someone who keeps it real with Ronald Jones like me. I feel like you're saying a lot of my same thoughts. I just want to see more out of Rojo before I'm completely sold. I hope he kills it this year. Nonetheless, Samar Ali, how many game-winning kicks will legend Matt Gay make this season? This has been talked about. One of the questions on this show, Matt Gay, He missed a couple field goals last year with the against the Falcons. He missed.
What? None of them were his fault. None of them.
None of them were his fault. Okay.
Yeah. Listen, if you watch Loose Cannons and you listen to Bucking Idiots, my answer would have been 20. You would have had 20 game-winning kicks, including preseason. But now that we don't have preseason, easy answer: 16 game-winning kicks.
16. I mean, do you really want it to come down to 16 game winning?
No, I mean that kick might be in the first quarter, and then we're going to shut the other team out. So technically, he'll be the one to put the last point on the board. I'm going to give the credit to Matt Gay.
So no problem with Matt Gay at all. You
none whatsoever.
Okay.
And listen, jokes aside, check out the Matt Gay episode. Matt came on the Loose Cannons podcast. Incredible. What a dude. Was open. We didn't even have to ask him questions about the missed kicks. He came out openly and brought up the Giants game, and we were ready to be hard on him. He came out. He talked about what happened in that game. He talked about where his confidence was. I mean, a lot of people don't know Matt wasn't a kicker. Matt just started kicking the football. He wasn't a kicker in high school. He was a soccer player. He had a big leg, so the coach let him come kick at games without going to practice. This guy is new to the game. And I think, came in with maybe a little bit too overconfident. Thought it was going to be easy. Found out that the pressure with no margin, very little margin for error in the NFL, I think probably got to him a little bit. Check out that episode. It was awesome. Matt is a great dude, and we're his biggest fan.
Well, yeah, and I definitely saw that episode. It was a good episode, and then on top of it, him being a part of your show was great. He's
an unofficial fifth member, so
okay.
Anytime he wants to come on, he can come on. And you'll see here again, because Loose Cannons is part of the Bucs Report Network. You'll see Matt Gay on our podcast all the time. He's supposed to come on and give us a training camp report here soon. So we'll see if the public relations department will allow that to happen.
All right. Sounds good. Does he kick a 60-yard field goal in his career, you think?
Oh,
he got the leg, right?
That's easy. Of course. I love that. Arians is going to let him try it. So I think he's kicked 60 plus. He kicked it over the mountains. He could probably kick an 80-yard field goal if they let him.
He kicked it over the mountains.
He kicked it over mountains, man. Y'all need to watch. Yeah.
All right. Might have to tune into the Loose Cannons more than I already do. Keep it up, Sonny.
And Bucking Idiots. Bucking Idiots too, man.
Bucking Idiots. Shooter and Stash, he's a machine. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. The Washington Whatevers. Great segue. Let's see if the Bucs win the Super Bowl. The Glazers better give up there and do the John Elway thing. Say this one's for Levante. What do you think about little Scotty Miller in camp so far? You're big on him. A lot of people are big on Miller. I wasn't one. I thought Tyler Johnson would come in here, but now with his injury, and then of course Miller knowing the offense, and you having that speed that this team doesn't necessarily have, it gives them another facet to their offense that's scary. I feel like he is the leader in this clubhouse right now for the third wide receiving spot.
Isn't it awesome, Peter, that we don't have to rely on Tyler Johnson to come in and produce right away? I mean, we've been in that position now for so many years that when we draft a guy, he's got to step right in and contribute right away and grow up quick. And as much as we give Vernon Hargraves hate, that's really not the way you want to come in the NFL. You would love to be more like Rondé Barber and have a year to sit on the bench and learn the system and learn from a vet, like Brian Kelly or somebody that can teach you the ways. And that guy had nobody teaching him the ways. Who was he following? Whose footsteps was he following?
Yeah.
So, by the way, I used to coach at Wharton High School. So you're not going to get me to hate Vernon Hargraves like everybody else does. What's up, VH3?
Why did it work out here with him? It's effort.
I think again, just like with OJ, that guy got the confidence slapped out of his soul, man. And I don't know that he's ever recovered. And I mean, he may never recover. That happens to guys when they get drafted in this league, and then the school of hard knocks ends up taking it out of them. And Vernon may be that guy. Maybe he hasn't found his position yet. He was always really better suited to play the nickel. He's still a young guy. He could eventually grow into a good NFL player here, man. We give up on guys so easily, and I get it. It was probably the right time to give up on him here, but the guy could still have a good NFL career. Let plenty of Bucks go on former Bucs, go on to have good careers elsewhere. People are crying about Bradley McDougal right now. I mean, like wish we had a safety like him. I mean, it happens. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him eventually become productive. He plays on a hell of a team in Texas, on a hell of a defense. Defense with the Texans. He could find his star there. You never know.
Yeah, he definitely could. I just think it comes down to effort with him, and he wasn't showing it. And then on top of that, because he was able to exit this team, it opened up an opportunity for these young kids like a Jamal Dean, a Sean Murphy-Bunting, and a Carlton Davis. How do you feel about these young corners?
Better than I did the first half of the season. I mean, it feels really good to leap some praise on them because we saw growth, right? But I wasn't giving Sean Murphy-Bunting very much love, during the middle of the season. That's why I say it. It takes a little time to learn Todd Bowles' defense. And again, I think it was a confidence issue for him. In camp, man, he looked like he had it in spades. I think he after learning what we were doing in, our offense was doing against him, he felt comfortable. He was playing with confidence. And I think his confidence took a hit during the season. It took him a little while to come back. And boy, has he worked hard in the offseason. The whole secondary looks like they've been eating the TB12, shot in the butt or whatever it is these guys are eating. I want to be on that plan. All right. So, I'm personal friends with Coach Lowe. Coach Lowe, I know you're watching this. Put me on with the trainer. I want to know what were they eating? How are they training? I need to get my swole on.
Good stuff. All right. Let's see here. Eric Scott, Easy G, a.k.a. Ernest Graham, is my favorite Gator Buck. Boys with his nephew. Sammer said Doug Martin should be in the conversation for a couple of years there when Doug Martin, didn't have his personal demons off the field and then also wasn't injured on the field. Man, who could forget that game against the Raiders? I mean, just over 200 rushing yards. I mean, he was a man among boys that game.
Doug Martin is built like my perfect running back. I give it's hard for me to say this because I hated on people for possibly supporting Jameis when he's gonna playing for the Saints, but I loved Barry Sanders. I grew up wearing the orange, but I got to see Barry run all over us. To me, probably the greatest running back of all time. The guy was incredible. So I hold every other running back to the Barry standard. And Doug had a little bit of that Barry in him, obviously not enough. So that's why I love Doug. I love when we picked him up, and he was productive here for a while. But I think like a lot of the Bucs guys just got ground down by losing and just didn't take football that seriously after a while, and that's it. Worked his way out of the league.
Do you regret the Bucs not drafting a Dalvin Cook? I know you're not a Florida State fan, but you saw what he could do against the Gators, and now when he's able to stay healthy, which he necessarily hasn't been able to do with the Vikings, but when he has, he's been a highly productive running back. Any regrets of the Bucs not taking?
Absolutely, and that's coming from a Gator fan. Dalvin, I think Dalvin's top 5 in the league if he can stay healthy, and that he plays on the right team in the right offense. That guy's got everything you want. Physical, has the ability to break away, and of course, in retrospect, you look at his production versus what we've gotten out of OJ so far. It's an easy yes. But we may feel differently after this season if OJ turns into what he could potentially be. And like I said, sprinkle that confidence on him. A guy like Brady, telling him all the right things and him getting to see what a Hall of Famer looks like and how he prepares. And he may look at Gronk and say, I can do that. I can be that. Maybe he just had that self-doubt. Obviously, he wasn't in love with his role last year. It was much different than what he did in Dirk's offense. I think Dirk used him a lot more, and then he was having to block in line, and maybe because DeMar Dotson was a liability, we had to keep our tight ends in more. I don't think we see that as much this year.
All right, good stuff. Let's go back out to the webheads here. Let's see. Same goes for McNichols. He never worked out.
Did you just bring up McNichols' name on this podcast? Yeah. I mean, on this show. Damn it, I did it again.
It's all right. We just called the evolution. Mike was important, but statistically, he's not a Hall of Fame candidate. No, he's not a Hall of Fame candidate, but for his position, if fullback were more valued, I definitely think you can make a case for it. And if he goes to another team like the Steelers or the Bears or somebody that's going to use him as the primary back, I believe that he would have some conversation there. If Ricky Bill hadn't got sick, he could have been the greatest running back of all time, let alone for the Bucs. Peter's beard game is strong. Thank you, Sammer. Appreciate you. Fits better with Christian and myself. Stank beard game weak. What's all that all about?
Listen, okay. First of all, Christian's a barber. He owns 7 barbershops in Tampa. They don't like, because I don't have this fade. I don't fade my beard into my bald head, and they give me shit for it all the time. And Sammer airbrushed it. First of all, his beard is CGI'd. So if you watch the podcast, that's not his real beard. He goes in After Effects and he airbrushes that beard on. You know, it's too clean to be real. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, too clean to be real.
Too clean to be real, but I don't know, man. I think it's kind of real. It looks good. His beard game is strong.
No, I saw Alex Guerrero coming out of his house one day. We all know if Alex Guerrero is at your house, something shady's going on.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. Will Stank have a Mr. Boom, says Samurai Ali.
I mean,
Mr. Sacco on the Puppet Show. Mr. Sacco, that's great. Made a 65-yarder in practice with eyes closed. I feel like that's going to eventually come, to pass, that he's going to hit a 60-yarder.
We have video evidence of him hitting a 65-yarder in practice. If anybody doesn't believe us, we got it. We got the video of it.
Okay. All right. I want to play that video on this show one of these days. What about John Franklin? What about John Franklin III? I mean, last change.
I think he's going to be a casualty of no training camp. That's
really?
What John, yeah, because that guy could be a Swiss Army knife. He could play receiver. He could play running back. Maybe he makes his way onto this roster because of a COVID casualty, of an IR guy. I don't think he makes this team, though. I mean, he's not going to beat out any of the running backs, I don't think. I doubt he beats out any of the projected receivers. We have too many tight ends that are going to take up spots, on this roster. How many tight ends are we keeping? Are we getting? I don't see them cutting Auclair. He does too many important things. So there's going to be either less running backs or less receivers, and John Franklin just doesn't have a full-time role anywhere. So I don't think that we're going to be able to keep him. But maybe he's a practice squad guy.
I'll tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. You're on with yours truly, along with the stank bastard from Loose Cannons and Bucking Idiots.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. This is Mr. Ali.
Oh, hell no.
What's up, Samra? How you doing? Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Yeah, I love you. I love you, Pete. We're straight. But I had to call in, man. The blasphemy of this, the audacity, I mean, the nerve to insinuate that my beautiful facial hair is airbrushed on a live show. Absolutely. I mean, just keep digging that knife, Stank. Keep digging it.
Well, listen, what do you got against my Amish, bro? Why are you always talking? I'm hurt. That kid, see, listen, you came at me and you hurt my feelings live on the air with 65,000 people listening.
Wolverine originals. I mean, come on. It looks faded. Just faded. Why does it get off like that at different angles on both sides?
Listen, maybe Nick Citro needs to do a poll about my beard. Nick?
Yeah, if Nick's watching, do a poll on that.
Hey,
do a poll on that.
Beard bracket. That's what it has to be.
In vitro Nick Citro, which never caught on, by the way. And Nick hated that name. I know you did, Nick.
He absolutely hates it.
He hated it. And Saber kept calling him it. And I could tell he was like, I hate it.
The more I said it, the more he uncomfortable.
Yep.
But you guys brought
Can't run from it, bro. Now that you hate it, it lives forever. You should have faked like you liked it.
That's the thing. Never let me find out what bothers you, because that's it. It's the
that's
end.
it. But listen, yeah. That's how we roll on Loose Cannons and Bucking Idiots, for sure.
There you go.
Good stuff.
About my boy McNichols.
What about what do we talk about McNichols? I mean, he's famous for being coached from Snoop Dogg.
Snoop, that's it.
That's it. I mean, and then Jason Light saying, "F it, I'm done with him." I remember it to this day.
I don't know. Hall of Famer. That guy's a Hall of Famer. You guys just left him off. I thought that was, again, another.
That's fake news, just like your beard being real. Hang up on this guy, Peter. I don't like him.
Hey, we don't hang up on anybody unless nonsense out here on the board. Sammer, is he up there with Loris Tate? McNichols.
I don't even know who that is.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you don't even know who Lars Tate is.
That's old school there for
old school. I see. I do. I'm old. You see the grays in the beard.
Yes,
I know who Lars Tate is.
Oh, Loris Tate.
In all seriousness, though, I don't know if you guys mentioned it, but I would put Ricky Bell up there.
Yeah,
I would have
yeah. We talked about Ricky. Unfortunately, it wasn't in the cards for Ricky. There's a documentary on Ricky's life too on YouTube. If you guys, as Bucs fans, should go and check it out for sure.
But one could argue that Barry Sanders was also the best Buccaneer running back. And see how many amazing rounds he ripped off
in Tampa Stadium.
Yeah,
in front of me
with one shoe on, guys, with a sock. John Lynch trying to tackle him.
He didn't need two shoes against the Bucs back then, bro. You could score with one shoe on, no problem.
He could lose 6 yards and then the next play go for 60. It's just easy for Barry Sanders like that.
Sorry, I hit my camera.
In the 1997 season, the first time we faced him, when we had the new red imputer on there, I think he killed us in the first game, and then the second game we kept him in check, and then obviously in that playoff game we kept him in check beyond anything. I don't think I've ever seen a game where he looked that bad. That was the beginning of the era, though. That was awesome stuff.
Yeah, that was definitely the beginning of the era, and I always remember that first game here, San Francisco versus Steve Young, who was a former Buck, where Warren Sapp takes him out and then also takes out Jerry Rice. I believe that's when the Bucs defense arrived.
I agree. I was at that game.
One game.
Incredible. We put our stamp on the map, and I was also at that playoff game, or excuse me, at the last game at the Sombrero against the Lions, and I saw people get zip tied on the field because they were trying to take some grass with them. And if you're watching, and that was you who jumped on the field, like 100 people got arrested and taken off the field because they tried to rush the field the last game. Damn you, TPD! You should have let them have their glory, man.
I was 11 years old that game.
Yeah, I was. I think I was about that young too, maybe a little bit older. But
Stink was like 27.
27 that game, huh?
I wasn't 27, bro. And listen, when you were 11, were you airbrushing that beard on then too?
No, I was born with it, bro. I came out the womb with the face.
Yeah, full beard right out the womb. I don't doubt it.
That's Christian hooking it up there because he does a great job too. So
no,
he does.
The story is I use their products, the 245 products that Christian's other company and business had, but I haven't actually sat in a barber chair since I was 19 years old. I just got sick of them doing it incorrectly, so I just taught myself how to do it.
Wow, that's tough to do your hair. I can't even cook. I couldn't even imagine doing my hair. I'd probably give myself a crew cut or something.
It would look like that for a couple times. For sure.
Sammer, do you also shave your own back? And if so, can you put a YouTube video up and teach me how?
No, I've told you. What happens is I wake up in the morning, and it's 3 times a week this happens. I could take the crude oil bath. Then I have the crude oil bath. It gets right into the pores. It doesn't allow hair growth. And then baby oil, baby powder, another coat of baby oil, and they can get started.
Okay, but you still don't explain how you get rid of your back hair. And listen, Peter, this is what happens on our shows, okay? We're not talking about the Bucs. The wheels have fallen off. We're talking about Sammer's back hair, crude oil, baby oil. Listen, if this is the kind of content you love, make sure you check out Loose Cannons and Bucking Idiots.
There's another way you could use.
Arab has hijacked your show.
Yeah, well, that's okay, guys, because you're a part of the family. Welcome to the family here on Bucs Report on the Sports Web, the evolution of Sports Talk Television. We got Sammer Ali of the Loose Cannons on the phone with us here. We've got Stink Bastard, of course, of Loose Cannons and the Bucking Idiots, one of the newest podcast we've added to the Bucs Report network. So podcast, that's what it is. So yeah, I mean, I can think of other ways of using baby oil instead of talking about oiling up.
Hey, Peter.
Yes.
Check this out.
Yes. Let me see. Oh, look at that.
This is official. This is the official baby oil of the Loose Cannons podcast. If you're big on Twitter, then you know who this man's face is right here. That's the legendary male model who happens to be a diehard Bucs fan. That's Stephen Beck. And he has his own line of baby oil. And if you would like to get your hands on this, literally, listen to the Loose Cannons podcast. We give it away all the time, along with a lot of other things. Like, I got a jersey I'm giving away. Peter, would you mind if I showed this jersey real quick?
Yeah, go for it, buddy. Go for it. We got him on here. He's going to show the jersey. Sammer, what's going on, buddy? Welcome to the Sports Web. What else is on your mind?
I'm just excited, man. I'm seeing all these videos. I'm upset that I don't get to be out there and to witness it all. I'm pretty excited. The only thing that holds me back a little bit is the lack of reps that my guys, the rookies, are going to need and that they're going to miss out on, especially our first rounder. I feel like
look at that.
If anyone needed the reps and the preseason games to kind of get their feet wet and acclimated to the speed of the game, it would have been that guy protecting Tom Brady. I'm glad he's not on his blind side, but hopefully facing those two guys, in Shaq and JPP in practice every single day will kind of speed up that learning curve a little bit. But that's the only thing that's kind of holding me back from being 100% like ready to roll with the season. It's just holding back just a little bit because of that.
Yeah, I mean,
these guys get rolling.
I think the expectations are scaring a little bit of the Bucs fans. You look on Twitter, I still see people saying, Tom Brady's lost it, and of course, Stink Bastard is showing this the creamsicle Brady jersey right there. A lot of people felt like the Bucs should have changed their colors to creamsicle. Are you
including Sammer?
Nope. No.
Leave the creamsicle in the past, Sammer.
Those were the most hideous uniforms ever made in the history of sports.
Wow.
Do you remember the original Toronto Raptors jerseys?
Yes.
Those look better than the creamsicles.
Oh, wow. I mean, what I've always said.
How dare you?
Well, here's what I've always said, boys, about the creamsicle jerseys. They're associated with losing. So I never, I really appreciate them. But you see the color, nice color. I mean, it looks good. The winking pirate, though, has always kind of scared me a little bit. Just a little.
Why? Why, Peter? Explain why.
He's winking and he has a knife in his. He's
non-threatening though. Wink is like, hey, come on over here. I got something to show you.
He looks like he's the guy that you need to put your arm around him and you need to take him to a facility that could possibly help him because he doesn't look quite healthy.
I don't have a problem with that. Honestly, I don't have a problem with it. Not everybody's healthy, Sammer. All right, not everybody's like you. Anyways, I'm giving away this and 3 more of these beautiful creamsicle Tom Brady's jerseys that are probably not officially Nike, but it doesn't really matter. They're beautiful and they exist. Okay, I'm giving these away. Tune in to the next episode of the Bucking Idiots podcast and the Loose Cannons. I'll be shouting it out on there. If you want a chance to win these for free, we'll mail them to you. I'm not going to charge you for shipping or anything. We're constantly giving stuff away. And obviously, tune into the Bucs Report because you're going to see them live on there as well.
Oh, there you go. Good stuff. There you go, Stink Bastard there. Giving away some uniforms, Brady. So if you're interested, tune in to the Bucking Idiots and, of course, the Loose Cannons podcast. So what else, Sammer? What did we get you on the Sports Web here and talk to all 3 of you guys about your podcast and about what your expectations of 2020 and the Bucs are going to be?
Oh, you're going to have to get all 3 of us on there next week.
Okay.
Next week.
Okay. I
agree.
Yeah, just slide into my DMs like most men shouldn't. And let's figure that out. And,
I don't in.
And, obviously the 3 of us on the Loose Cannons, we're pretty good friends. And sometimes things happen, between the 3 of us, individually, collectively, as a group. And sometimes they're great things that happen in story-wise. And one of those things that happened to Stank, my friend there, he had an interesting story, an interesting occurrence during a run. I think about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. I didn't know if you had a chance to ask him about it, Peter. I think maybe.
Really, Sammer.
What happened here, Stank? Go ahead and spill it.
I shit my pants. Okay. And if you want to learn, if you want to hear more about that story, tune into the Bucking Idiots podcast that I just released today. It's on YouTube at Bucking Idiots. It's on every other platform, on Podbean, on all the audio ones. I go into detail of what happened to me right here in Tampa, Florida, in Seminole Heights, as I went for a run.
Poor guy. I mean, it happens sometimes. I mean, that's what happens when you get older.
Thanks, Sammer. Thanks for bringing that up, man.
Sammer,
I'm
anything?
trying to help you hype up your latest episode. I mean,
65,000 people just heard me.
So if
Yeah,
you're
man,
wondering what
Peter.
smells, it would be Stank Bastard because
They don't call me Stank for nothing, bro. Come on.
Dude, underneath all of his clothes, he's constantly wearing the John Travolta yoga getup, the 1980s aerobic.
Yeah. I find, listen, some people don't understand it. I find John Travolta's clothing line, which is mostly male thongs, I find them oddly comforting.
You know, is that like the bodysuit that some women wear, you know, to have that that thickness to them, if you will?
80s style bodysuits. That's my thing. When I go to yoga, I'm wearing exactly what everybody else in there is wearing. Full body lycra from head to toe.
No,
nothing to hide here.
Borat. It looks like what Borat wears.
Exactly. That's what I wear at the beach.
I like it. Oh, very nice.
Nice.
How much?
That sounds like
And speaking of Borat, if you need some body hair, Sammer's got some extra for sale at all times.
Great success.
Yeah. I sell them in bags, 2 kilos, 4 kilos, or for those of you who really need it, 20 kilos. Body hair. I don't have any color but brown. But,
That's it.
Did you go to a gypsy and ask for her tears?
No, that's in like emergency scenarios that you.
All right, we were talking about Will Ferrell movies. You speak Will Ferrell, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, what's your top 3 movies, Will Ferrell?
Can I say old school because he wasn't the main character?
I mean, absolutely. Frank the Tank was the main character. I think he stole the show from the other guys. Just
that would be my second one.
Okay.
Top one would be Step Brothers.
Okay.
And oddly enough, number 3, I would have to put in the Semi-Pro.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty shitty the first few times I watched it, but now as I see it more and more, I'm just like, man, this is a great movie.
And it has Andre 3000 in it.
It has Andre 3000 or
right there.
Black and that, and ELE. Everyone love everyone, which we do here on Bucs Report on the Sports Web.
And then you wanted top 5?
Yeah, give me 2 more.
I never saw Elf.
I seen it. It was okay. I liked Anchorman. Anchorman's mine.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Anchorman.
Peter, how did I forget Anchorman, bro? That's probably, you know what? I think that's the number one.
Well, I tell you right now, Anchorman 2 definitely should get some love just because Megan Good's in it. Okay, now if you want to talk about baby oil, that would be a direction I would go with.
Whoa, Peter Blake is in our level now.
I know. Hey, Sammer, make sure you ship him a bottle. Baby oil coming your way.
Do you want a gallon?
Oh man, I tell you what, if it's Megan Good, we may need a gallon.
We need a whole gallon.
This is already the most outlandish episode you have ever been.
It has to be. It has to be.
It probably is. Probably have guys at Bucs Report just shaking their head right now, but they're laughing about it. We have a good time.
Yeah, In vitro is just like, oh my god, I can't believe you let these 2 guys on there. Oh my god,
Yeah, bro.
Nitro Nick.
They're gonna stop with the name.
Yeah, we call him Nitro Nick Citro.
No,
It doesn't have the same ring as in vitro, Nick Citro.
In vitro Nick Citro. Okay, I'm gonna start calling him that when he comes on.
Oh, he's gonna love us after this, man. You messed up, Nick. You let me in.
After we had him on for our show, he like promoted the show on Twitter, and then I responded with, I think you misspelled your nickname, and I wrote in vitro. And then one of his like best friends from high school, he comes on and he goes, I don't know, man. I've never heard him be called that. He's always been Flash or something like that. Something Flash. I think it was Flash.
Flash, huh?
Like literally, he actually took offense to me calling Citro in vitro, and it just made me want to say it even more. But I thought that was really funny when it occurred.
Absolutely. I tell you what, let's go out to the web heads here. We got Samurai Lee on the line here. Open phone lines. We can get 2-3 people on a time here. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Stank Bastard of the Bucking Idiots, and of course, Loose Cannons and Samurai Ali on the line. Let's go out to the web heads here. Top Buck says Stank. You guys, my guy Peter Blake. What's good? What's going on? Hey guys, what does Top Bucks always do? Fire those cannons. So There you go. You say After Effects isn't even the app for that. Yo says medium rare chick. I don't know who that is. In vitro, Nick Citro, Joshua Allen says, who would Tina Turner be if she said, hit me again, Ike, and this time put some stank on it? I know. I absolutely know what line
that's my boy Josh. What's up? And that's your boy Josh, but also mine.
I don't think Stan can answer. I don't think Stan can take care of that for her because of the current concurrent bets that he has made.
Listen, I can only not touch my wife.
Oh, really?
Wow. Stank.
I'm just kidding. I'm faithful.
I can't do it, man. I can't do it, bro. I can't do it. Sorry. Let's see here. Peter can only make Mexican grilled cheeses. That's very true. Or burn them. Buckinidiots.podbeam.com. There you go. So,
shout out. Thank you, sir.
Sammer, we've definitely got to get you guys on here. The Loose Cannons. Love what you guys do here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. So we'll figure that out next week. Anything else, buddy?
Well, I'm going to give you fair warning.
Mm-hmm.
If you have important topics to get to that night, I would suggest doing that before you get
before we get on,
because at that point you might not even get a word in, but the wheels are going to definitely fall off.
Well, and you know me, I'm a pretty good host. I'll be able to ask you some important questions. We did that with Stank.
You're a very good host, Peter.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So we'll be able to keep it together, but we have fun here on the Sports Web. It's not like we got to be all professional and like stay classy, San Diego. It's not like that, but you know, we do it.
When you have us on here, the class level is going to drop a little bit. Just a little bit.
I love Lamp.
It's basically like trying to have Billy Madison come in for a professional job interview.
Oh,
general manager of a football team.
Yeah, I agree with that. So what was it? Miss Lippy? She drinks.
Her car's green.
Her car's green. Miss Lippy drinks orange soda. I thought. Yeah, there you go.
I've probably seen that movie over 100 times.
Stop staring at me, Swan.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Conditioner is better. It leaves the hair silky and smooth.
Oh, really, fool?
Oh, really, fool? Did the penguin? Did the penguin tell you that? Your baby's gonna be a soccer player.
Oh, he is. He is. We can do this all day, baby.
Oh, we can. We could definitely do that. Somebody says you're at 1K now. All right, good stuff. You got 500 followers on Twitch. Now you're at 1K. All right, cool. Thank you very much. I guess
You're welcome, Peter Blake.
I appreciate it. Absolutely appreciate it. So, Sammer,
I haven't even had DJ come in. You know what I'm saying? I haven't had Khaled even saying hello to everybody.
Well, there you go. We got to get him on here. So,
you will.
All right, sounds good, Sammer. Thanks a lot for calling the Sports Web. All right, boss.
Yeah, man, had a blast. I thought I'd come in and give my guys some.
Thanks for crashing my show, Sammer.
No problem,
We're about to, really quick, Sammer. We're about to talk about Gerald McCoy. So really quick, you don't have to do it really quick because we're going to wrap up the show here in about 8 or 9 minutes. But give me your feeling on Gerald McCoy and his legacy, and should he be in the Ring of Honor?
You shouldn't have asked him that.
Go ahead.
He should not be in the Ring of Honor.
Okay.
2 reasons. Okay. I know people are like, oh, there's stuff that's between the lines. The stats speak for them. Yeah, no, listen. I never once experienced legitimate impact from him being on the field or off the field. In fact, at times, the team played better with him off the field in some instances. I mean, come on. He's not a legend down here.
Nope.
He doesn't belong on the ring next to guys like Sapp and Gruber and Brooks and Barber. Doesn't belong there. He's not a Warren Sapp. He just doesn't belong up there. He was, I don't know, I don't want to say it because he was so nice, but he was a little soft. And I'm saying, like, if you don't win and you also don't have impact, like, that actually matters on the scoreboard, he can't put you up there.
No, I agree. I don't think you can put him up there either. And I can't remember any impact plays. We were talking to, what was it, In Vitro Nick Citro about this, and he went all the way back to 2013 versus the Miami Dolphins when the Bucs were 0-8 on Monday Night Football, which, by the way, how in the world did Monday Night Football put the Bucs along with the Dolphins? What a terrible matchup. But he had to go all the way back to 2013 to find an impact play for McCoy. You go back last year with Sue, you could point out plenty of plays that he made an impact in.
Here's the thing I've always said during his entire tenure here with the Bucs. The Bucs had a guy he was a good football player, pretty good football player. But the Bucs, throughout the entire team, and most specifically to him, they had too many guys that loved to win and not enough guys that absolutely hated to lose. McCoy loved to win. He never actually hated losing.
Yeah.
If you hated it, you would have made a difference or tried in a different fashion or tried to be a leader in different ways. Most of it just seemed like he just enjoyed being there in the spotlight. Kind of similar to Vernon Hargraves in a sense, but Vernon just didn't have any production at all. So it's a little bit different, but it's similar in the sense that he kind of enjoyed the shine that came with it, but you got to hate to lose to actually get championships.
And I
hated losing.
Yeah, and I almost feel like McCoy, the reason why they moved on from him is because they wanted a player like a Sue not only to fit that defense, but also to have a great impact on that locker room with Vita Vea. And I feel like if anybody thinks that veteran leadership wasn't paid and bought for, you're seriously mistaken, because Sue has definitely made that defensive line impactful, especially with them number one versus the run. What do you say to a guy like Mikey E? Because he's been a McCoy defender, and that's okay. There's some Bucs fans out there. When you have the Bucs and they've been in a position where defensive lineman has had, what he's basically saying, I think, is that the players around McCoy weren't that great. Is that fair to say that McCoy, he didn't make an impact because of the players around him?
No, I can't. No, because he played next to Michael Bennett. He played next to, he had a couple decent guys around him. And then that also didn't stop Warren Sapp, right? Warren Sapp, the year he won Defensive Player of the Year, he had a guy he had Culpepper next to him. He had Reagan Upshaw, and I believe he had Chidi Hanato or Tyoka Jackson.
Yeah,
that's it. And he still led the league in sacks and won Defensive Player of the Year as a defensive tackle.
Yep.
It doesn't, if you're that good, you make guys around you better. Aaron Donald makes guys around him better because it's impossible to just ignore him. The thing with Gerald that drove me nuts was, he's a nice guy off the field. So was Leroy Selman. But on the field, Leroy was mad at everybody.
Yeah.
I'm young, but I know that much. Gerald looks like he was always nice.
Yep.
I don't want to see my guy picking. And people make a big deal out of this. Oh, whatever, you guys make a big deal out of this, picking up the opponent. Man, sometimes it sends a different type of message. There's a mentality that goes with it. And picking up the opponent off the field in the middle of a war, that doesn't work. You could be his friend and his buddy after the whistle blows in the final fourth quarter whistle, and that's great. Before that, he's your enemy. Even if he's your brother, he's your enemy.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
I agree. I absolutely agree with that. The whole, I'm sorry, Mr. Brady, I'm sorry, Big Ben on Monday Night Football. I never understood it. Good stuff, Sammer. Thanks a lot. Definitely don't be a stranger. We'll get you on here next week on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, all right?
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah, you guys covered it. Good player, not great. Was forced into a leadership role, was given a leadership role that he didn't earn, like a lot of Bucs over the last decade. And it's unfortunate. Wasn't a part of a great team, wasn't a part of any real great coaching staffs. And I don't think we really got out of Jerry McCoy what he had in him. I think he could have been great, but it just wasn't the right environment for him. All team, all world person, right? I mean, a great dude on the field, great dude off the field, but just not Hall of Fame worthy, not Ring of Honor worthy. I will agree with that.
Yeah, good stuff by Sammer Ali. Of course, if you don't know who he is, he was just on with us. Thanks for the call. Of course, a part of the Loose Cannons. We'll get you guys on next week, but having Stink Bastard on here. Great stuff. Any final thoughts here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television?
Peter, I don't know why it took so long, but I'm glad to be here. You are, I don't know if Sammer's taking shots. You're a phenomenal host. I'd say way better host than Sammer, that's for sure.
I appreciate that.
Miles. I'm just kidding, Sammer. You know I love you. Sammer's an awesome host as well. But I'm glad to be here. Glad to be a part of it. I'm glad that people will be exposed to the Bucking Idiots podcast. More people will be exposed. Follow me on Twitter at @StankBastard, spelled just like it's spelled down there, and talk some crap.
Absolutely, and we'll have you back on here next week with all your Loose Cannon buddies, and we will probably be getting you out there to some of our watch parties.
Don't forget that jersey giveaway.
Yeah, jersey giveaway. Go ahead and promote it again. You got a jersey giveaway, creamsicle jersey, Brady jersey right there. Let's go ahead and get that on screen right there. Brady
giving away 3 of these. Make sure you go to my YouTube channel at Bucking Idiots and subscribe. On Spotify, on Apple Music, all that. If you want a chance to win this, and hit me up on Twitter, follow me on Twitter, send me a DM or just holler at me and let me know you're interested, and I'll put you in the hot.
All right, there you go, Stank Bastard. Thanks a lot for coming on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right.
Thanks for having me. Go Bucs. Go Bucs.
There you go. Fire those cannons. Here we go. All right. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thanks, man.
It. All right. There you go. So that's your show for the night. I mean, I don't know what you want. You got Chris Landry. He's breaking down NFL athletes that he scouted, giving you stories taking you behind the curtain. And then we get Stank Bastard on, Samurai Ali of the Bucking Idiots, and of course, Loose Cannons, which we will have them on in the future, of course, with our watch parties and everything else. So a great show, as always, here on the Sports Web. Thanks a lot to all the web heads. Thanks for all the calls. Let's go ahead and go out to the webhead here. Bucs Report says at Stank Bastards. So tomorrow night we will have Ricky Reynolds on, former Bucs corner and Patriots corner sports analyst. He will be on here for 30 minutes, maybe longer, depending on the questions. Remember, webheads, don't be scared to get on the phone lines. And of course, join the 65,000 following we have here on Facebook, of course, live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and a part of the Landry Football Network, the Chris Landry Football Twitch channel. Do 3 things for me early on this Thursday morning. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, and I'll see you tomorrow night. On the You're now in the Sports Web, a sports talk show for the hardcore fan. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense.
Bruce Arians here with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. During these difficult times, it's important that we all show we care about our community's health. You could spread COVID-19 without knowing it. Wear a mask, wash your hands, keep your distance from each other, stay strong, and go Bucs.
Realizing my potential has been what my career has been all about. Things that I've dreamed about have actually come true.
And the Patriots have won Super Bowl 36. Unbelievable.
Things have happened in my life as I kind of hoped they would happen. It's been, just a complete evolution. You know, how I just kept kind of fighting and clawing to continue to power forward. You just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you keep trying to make progress. So when I look at over 20 years, I look how far I've come. But there's not one step that I took where I realized, look how far I've come. But those series of steps that I put together I go, wow, that's quite a journey.